There is a stillness in your chest, so deep it feels like a held breath. It's the quiet of a hand being wiped clean, of a name left unspoken. But under the skin, a fragile wire of hope thrums, waiting for the train to move. Now the clock starts. "Don't touch me." The boy didn't look at her. He just carefully wiped his hand touched by her with a tissue and casually threw it in the trash can. His voice was indifferent. Bai Lian leaned against the tree, replaying the scene in her mind over and over. Her wet black hair clung to her pale neck. She wrapped herself in a black coat, yawned lazily, and then reported a number to the elderly man beside her. The elderly man adjusted his glasses on his nose bridge, happy to see that she finally remembered a number, and dialed it on his phone. The call connected quickly. "Hello, is this Song Min speaking?" "Yes." The elderly man was very polite. "Okay, Bai Lian fell into the water by accident at the lakeside of Mingtai Villa. Could you come to pick her up?" There was silence on the other end for a moment before he recalled who this name belonged to, his tone restrained and annoyed. "Don't call me again." The call was disconnected. The elderly man was stunned. Bai Lian, still seated on the rock, chimed in. My fiancé, I presume." Drenched, one might expect a desolate figure, but there she sat, with her hands crossed over her chest, leaning against a tree. Confusion shimmered in the depths of her dark eyes, like a white tiger that had nodded off in haste and woke up lazy, not knowing where it was. "What about your other family members?" She pondered for a moment. "They are hosting a banquet to celebrate the birthday of a daughter from a concubine." The old man looked at the pretty, well-mannered girl, unsure how to comfort her. "It's fine." Bai Lian cocked her head, chuckling lightly. "Thank you for saving me. I'll sit here for a while longer." He was busy with other matters, having saved Bai Lian from drowning by chance. He had initially thought the girl was determined to die, yet to his surprise, after her heartbeat stopped for 2 minutes, she woke up. She didn't seem to have any intention of committing suicide again. "Don't sit too long, you might catch a cold." He left her his phone number, took one more look at the black coat she wore, and then hurried away to catch his flight. Bai Lian put away the note, watching him disappear into the distance. She stood there for a long while before she tugged at her uniquely styled clothing and reseated herself on the rock, elbow propped on her knee, and the palm loosely supporting her chin. This body was also named Bai Lian. She had looked at her reflection in the water. She looked just like her. Her mother, 2 years ago, upon finding out that her husband not only had a mistress, but also had fathered 2 illegitimate children, divorced him and didn't fight for Bai Lian's custody. She left nonchalantly. The original owner of the body was unruly and undisciplined, and this time was caught cheating during the preliminary exams. While being scolded in the office by her teacher, she saw Song Min delivering homework. On instinct, the original owner grabbed her fiancé's hand, and he responded coldly and disdainfully, pulling away from her, saying that sentence, "Don't touch me." Remembering this, Bai Lian propped her chin on her hand, her fingers with distinct joints lightly resting against her cheek. What was the original owner doing with her pretty face? She tightened the overcoat with a hint of silver grass scent around her. Not strong, a bit chilly. Bai Lian looked at the solar lights shimmering in the distance, her eyes sparkling with bright stars. She just sat there on the stone, quietly observing this amazing world. She didn't know how long had passed before a blinding car light approached. She shielded her eyes with her hand to block the light. "Miss," the driver got out of the driver's seat and opened the door to the back seat of the business car. As the door to the business car opened, a graceful-looking girl in an exquisite dress, sitting on the outer side, came into view. After standing up, Bai Lian realized the back seat was not only occupied by Bai Shayaki, but also by a haughty young man sitting next to her, looking down at his phone. "Oh, Song Min." "Sister," Bai Shayaki glanced lightly at Bai Lian. She moved to a seat in the front for her and took the last 3-seater row in the back. "You sit in the front." The young man, originally looking at his phone, furrowed his eyebrows slightly. Upon seeing Bai Shayaki moving back, he too silently put away his phone and squeezed into the back seat without a word. The driver gave Bai Lian an awkward glance. Each time this scene unfolded, the miss would become as if she were mad. "Miss Master Song, he..." Bai Lian flicked the hair from her forehead while sorting through her memories. She didn't sit in the back, but gestured for the driver to open the passenger door instead. The car headed towards the Bai family home. Min, Bai Shayaki suddenly broke the silence in the back seat. Did you log into my account? You solved that problem using Fourier transformation. That approach won't work, I've tried it. Looking down on me, what if I managed to solve it? She reached for Song Min's phone. Song Min quickly guarded his phone. He would meticulously clean anywhere the original owner touched him, yet he didn't have any aversion to Bai Shayaki. Then I'll help you with your duty roster. Bai Shayaki, duty roster again. Are you complaining? Both of them were in the international class at Jingjiang Preparatory Camp, key talents of the year, and often took various competitive courses together. Bai Shayaki was not at all inferior to any boy in the sciences. They spoke as if no one else were present, impossible for others to interject. The driver glanced at Bai Lian sitting quietly and obediently in the passenger seat, feeling a bit embarrassed. He explained to her, the software Miss and Master Song are discussing is from Jiangjing Preparatory Camp. This year there are 10 spots, and they... Halfway through his words, the driver remembered that Bai Lian had cheated for this spot and immediately closed his mouth. The Bai family mansion. Bai Kaiming sat on the sofa in the living room, waiting for Bai Shayaki and Song Min to return. Song Min came back with me to get my brother's notebook, Bai Shayaki said to Bai Kaiming with a smile. Bai Lian ignored their pleasantries and sat down directly on the sofa, tapping the coffee table absent-mindedly with her fingertips to signal the butler to pour her some tea. After the butler served her the tea, she lowered her head and casually blew on it. You have intense study sessions and also practice the gazhang. Don't overexert yourself. Bai Kaiming gently handed the teacher appreciation card to Bai Shayaki, speaking gently. Practice the white-robed journey, well, these next 2 days. Principal Jian is very fond of it. Song Min was clearly surprised. You know the white-robed journey. Bai Shayaki was modest. I've only learned a little. Bai Lian leaned back on the sofa, gathering her half-dry black hair behind her ear, gazing at the teacher appreciation card for a long while, before lazily interrupting their polite chat with a tap on the rim of her cup. That appreciation card was my birthday gift from 2 years ago. Bai Shayaki's voice paused, and she narrowed her eyes at Bai Kaiming's teacher appreciation card. Then, with a smirk that was not quite a smile, she said, Sister also learned to play the Chinese zither. Upon hearing this, Song Min, who was standing nearby, lowered his head. Everybody in Baikeng knows that Bai Lian has no real skills. Bai Kaiming cast a reassuring glance at Bai Shayaki and then turned his gaze to Bai Lian, his voice turning cold. Principal Jian is a professor at Jiangjing University. She's very strict with her students. You have no musical talent, so it's useless for you to have it. Shayaki is more suitable than you are. Bai Lian held the teacup, looking very harmless as she replied. No musical talent, she chuckled. Quite interesting. She had switched bodies. Did I say something wrong? Bai Kaiming's eyes were heavy, but he thought she was being evasive. You drove away 3 teachers, even fell asleep in Teacher Li's music room, and after studying for a year, tell me, do you even know how many strings a gazhang has? So that was it. Bai Shayaki withdrew her gaze. Dad, if sister wants to learn, then let her have it. I'm going upstairs. Lowering her eyes with an openly mocking smile, she touched her sleeve, clearly disgusted by Bai Lian's behavior. It was nothing more than parroting. She went upstairs, not in the best of moods. Seeing her leave, Song Min followed her. He indifferently walked past Bai Lian without sparing her a glance. Song Min had known since childhood that Bai Lian was his fiancé. Others said his fiancé was quite attractive, but to him, Bai Lian was just that, a title, a fiancé. In his eyes, she had no presence. She had left no impression on him in all these years. He had not the slightest interest in the very attractive Bai Lian spoken of by others. Once the two left, Bai Kaiming's face darkened, and he handed the teacher appreciation card he was holding to the butler. He looked at Bai Lian indifferently. Why did you cheat? Bai Lian retorted. I didn't. The Bai family's young lady cheated. What did that have to do with her, Bai Lian? Bai Kaiming sneered coldly. So you're telling me you ranked in the top 10 at school all on your own? Why is that impossible? Bai Kaiming found her refusal to admit any wrongdoing utterly hopeless. "Come with me to the ancestral hall." The ancestral hall contained many spirit tablets. Bai Kaiming took 3 sticks of incense, solemnly paid his respects, and then said to Bai Lian, "Bai Lian, you're 18 now, not 8. When your elder brother was your age, he had already won several awards and handled several cases." He meant no sarcasm. He was simply telling the truth. When Bai Lian was in her first year of high school, Bai Kaiming also put in a lot of effort, specially arranging for her to be in the same class as Song Min to foster affection. But Bai Lian did not keep up with the international class's curriculum and fell to the regular class after the first exam. In contrast, Bai Shayaki thrived, getting into the international class on her own merit and participating in various extra credit competitions. Bai Lian was looking at the spirit tablets behind him, his every word treading upon her minefields. "Don't talk nonsense. Can the son of a mistress also count as my elder brother? Don't you have your own family tree? Or do you have to piggyback on mine?" she said, still in her clothes from outside, the black hair winding about her slender, pale neck. She leaned on her overcoat against the door frame and lightly laughed at Bai Kaiming. The family butler watched from the side, his heart racing. The recognition in Bai Lian's strikingly beautiful face as she smiled was akin to that of a highly intelligent psychopath. A scent of blood was in the air. Bai Kaiming had never been defied like this before, especially by Bai Lian, the daughter he least respected. His face turned red with anger. "Rebellious child, you're completely unreasonable." He placed the incense properly. "Not to mention competing with Shayaki, even if you had 1/10 of her. But throughout Bai family's 200-year history, there has never been someone like you." He looked Bai Lian up and down, defining her word by word. "A cheat in exams, a good-for-nothing scholar. Repent properly in front of your ancestors, and don't come out until you realize what you've done wrong, otherwise." He looked down at Bai Lian from his superior position, as if appraising an inconsequential product. "Go back to Xiancheng, and don't ever set foot in the Bai family mansion again." The ancestral shrine doors were closed. The butler's anxiety, which had risen to his throat, slowly settled down. He looked at Bai Lian, his gaze equally complex. Xiancheng, the most remote and also the furthest city from Jiangjing on the border of Baikeng. Dirty, chaotic, a haven for crooks and criminals, the most corrupt place in the country that even lacked a high-speed train station. Bai Lian seemed contemplative as she looked at the Bai family ancestral tablets, with only 200 years of history. With complex emotions, she asked the butler, "Is white clothes still around?" White Clothes is one of the 10 most famous ancient tunes, the school song of Jiangjing University, known to any schoolchild. So the butler thought she was making conversation and replied, "Miss, why must you create such a spectacle? A person's destiny is what it is from birth. That's why some can turn their fate around even born in adversity, while others, despite being given the best conditions, merely squander their potential." The eldest young master had grown up in harsh conditions, but had become the top student in the city and went to Jiangjing University, even had a PhD supervisor, backed by the Jiangjing family. The status of the Bai family in Baikeng was increasingly stable, and everyone knew the eldest young master was destined for greatness. Bai Kaiming was waiting for Bai Shayak and his sister to bring glory to the family, to enroll in Jiangjing, and hopefully even get a mention in the provincial or city annals. In contrast to Bai Lian, "What isn't yours will never be yours, and the second Miss's accomplishments today are all due to her own abilities," the butler said for a while, and then felt it unnecessary to waste time with her, and turned around. He had to deliver the letter of introduction to the second Miss right away. No sooner had the butler turned around than Bai Lian spoke in a soft voice. "Where are you taking my things?" The butler was stunned. He hadn't finished his sentence when suddenly, Bai Lian reached out and seized the collar of his shirt, her slender, fair fingertips exerting just a bit of force. A clear sensation of being strangled surged through his neck, forcing the butler to bend down involuntarily. His heart felt as if it was being gripped, and he was compelled to look into her dark eyes. He vaguely remembered that Bai Lian's mother, Jai Mulan, had once been a beauty who disturbed the entire Baikeng. It seemed to everyone that Bai Lian hadn't inherited the fine qualities of Bai Kaiming or Jai Mulan, and he had thought so too. But at that moment, he was somewhat unsure. Bai Lian seemed to take pleasure in this for a while, then suddenly smiled again. She tightened her grip on him, asking slowly and deliberately, "Do you know what happened to the last person who provoked me?" The butler's face reddened quickly from the lack of oxygen. She let go of his throat, still unhurried, and she adjusted his collar for him, her voice soft and gentle. "You see, I was just making a little joke. What are you afraid of?" The move could be described as gentle. Yet inside, the butler felt his hair stand on end, and the alarm bells in his head were screaming wildly. He covered his neck with his hand, coughing continuously. Once again, his gaze towards Bai Lian was filled with fear. Bai Lian pushed him away and suddenly retracted her smile, like boiling water suddenly turning to ice. She picked up the letter of introduction from his hand lazily with 2 fingers, casually blew off the non-existent dust from the name card, and said with an unclear meaning, "Make arrangements. I'm going to Xiancheng." 2 days later, Xiancheng, the most remote border city in the country, untouched by 3 years of poverty alleviation efforts. There were no developed transportation systems here, not even many slightly taller buildings. Bai Lian stood beneath the city wall, flipping back the hood of her sweatshirt and looking up. The ancient walls, weathered through thousands of years, collapsed stones, moss thriving in the shaded areas, flanked by rows of languid banyan trees, through whose gaps light and shadow flickered and danced. She held a black backpack in one hand, and beneath her feet, 5 sticks of incense burned, their smoke spiraling into the clear sky. A little boy squatting on the ground, fixated on a large water wheel, glanced at her twice, and seeing that Bai Lian hadn't moved on, continued to stare at the water wheel. A cell phone ringtone roused Bai Lian from her reverie. "Alien, haven't you arrived yet?" It was the voice of her maternal aunt in Xiancheng, tentative and cautious. Bai Lian scooped up her backpack and swung it onto her back. "I'll be right back." In the distance, a drop of water plummeted down, melting into the dust. She watched the incense burn down to stubs before she slapped the hood of her sweatshirt onto her head and walked toward the bus station. Outside of Xiancheng ran a moat, split and diverted into the city. Inside the city gates, a large wooden windmill was perched over the water. As the water flowed, the windmill rotated at a leisurely pace. The little boy, Yu Guang, noticing her departure, finally decided to move, following her to the bus stop. Bai Lian stood in the shade of the trees, looking down at the little friend who barely reached her waist. Her slender fingertips rested against her phone, tapping away casually. This little friend had been following her since he got on the bus with her from the train station. His eyes were dark and bright, with a buzz cut, dressed in a white shirt, with a small blue knitted vest over it and black leather shoes, clean and tidy. Exquisite and beautiful. Everywhere was a sense of dissonance with the rundown town. "Why are you following me?" The child lowered his head, repeatedly unbuttoning and then fastening the cuff button, focusing on it as he said, "This morning, my brother gave me half a banana, half." There were no seats at this bus stop. Quite simple, not many cars on the road, just a few here and there. Bai Lian leaned lazily against the bus sign, dozing off. "I don't understand." "Oh, I'm waiting for my parents to pick me up and take me to their world," he said, still staring at a red ribbon on Bai Lian's left hand. "My brother can know where I'm at. He just can't be bothered with me." "Ah," Bai Lian tilted his head, suddenly opened his eyes to stare at him for a bit, then reached out to flick his forehead. "Then your brother is pretty cool." "Oh." The child's gaze shifted to a black car slowly approaching from across the street, silently rebelling against her last statement. Across the street, a black business Maybach. The buzz-cut driver rests one hand on the steering wheel, on high alert even in these harmless streets. He breathed a sigh of relief only when he saw the child across the street, pressing his Bluetooth earpiece. "All pull back, turn off the infrared, don't aim at the ordinary crowd." There was only a young man in the back seat, with a notebook in front of him that bore no logo, his white shirt buttoned up to the top button, with light-colored eyes and a pale complexion. He casually swiped the laptop screen, opening files. The email documents showed complex numerical formulas. He glanced over them, his thick eyelashes drooping slightly, typing comments with one hand, "Stop sending me junk." Jiang Fulai casually pressed a few keys, and a voice pop-up window appeared in the lower left corner of the computer, featuring a man in a lab coat who complained, "I say, what did you do to those our country researchers?" "Speak." Jiang Fulai was a man of few words. "Damn," the man laughed uncontrollably, as if recalling something amusing. "Today they collectively filed a complaint against you to the Mensa Alliance. You know I can't reach the Alliance threshold. I heard from a teacher. Could this affect you?" The Mensa Alliance, a global alliance of top intellects. The entry requirements were extremely harsh, with only 100 members worldwide. Many countries didn't even have a single individual who could meet the threshold. In our country, only 3 people passed the assessment. Jiang Fulai tapped idly on the tabletop with the tips of his fingers, giving a sharp comment. "Then I wish them success." The man on the other side gave a short laugh. "Okay, I got it." Jiang Fulai turned off the computer screen, his gaze lazily moving to the window, his light-colored phoenix eyes veiling an inherent indifference. The one-way glass provided a clear view outside. The girl wore a white sweater, a bag casually slung over her right shoulder. Her left hand rested on the child's forehead. Her action revealed a glimpse of the wrist and the red ribbon tied around it, a vivid red about an inch wide, loosely wrapped twice around her pale wrist, fluttering gently with the wind. She sensed something and carelessly glanced this way. Jiang Fulai's fingertips paused on the black flip of the laptop. The bus abruptly entered the disrupted scene. The child looked at the bus's wavering exhaust fumes, really wanted to follow Bai Lian onto the bus, but didn't dare. So he stood still. The car opposite was in no rush, content to sit there unhurried. He unbuttoned and rebuttoned his jacket, dawdling for about 10 minutes before finally lifting his foot to walk towards the opposite car. The rear door opened automatically, and he climbed in, hands and feet working together. "Young Master Jianghe," the crew-cut driver glanced back and greeted. The little boy took a while before he let out an "oh," his reply slow, "Uncle Ming." Meanwhile, at the Bai family's residence in Baikeng, family conference room, the meeting was drawing to its conclusion. Bai Shayaki entered with her test papers in hand. An elder's eyes brightened immediately. He spoke up. "Shayaki is back from school. Come in quickly. We've just finished the meeting." The others all stood up to greet Bai Shayaki in turn. "You're in your senior year now, aren't you?" The elder then said to Bai Kaiming. "Kaiming, our Bai family clan fully supports you. Whatever Shayaki needs, just mention it." The Bai family lineage already spanned 200 years, but it was only with the appearance of a scholar in the first generation that their ancestral records began. This scholar was also their founding ancestor. Since then, no one of note had emerged from the Bai lineage, until Bai Shayak appeared. "Thank you, Grand Elder. Yes, she's in her senior year," Bai Kaiming smiled, then shook his head. "However, the competition in her cohort is too fierce." Just from what he'd heard, there were already 10 individuals contending for the valedictorian title, including Song Min. "Why haven't I seen Alien?" The Grand Elder looked towards the open doorway, puzzled at not seeing Bai Lian. Talk about jinxing the moment. Bai Kaiming's mood plummeted, the smile fading from his lips. The conference room fell silent as the others dared not speak. "Let's leave first, Grand Elder." Bai Kaiming, now riding high because of Bai Shayak, was not someone the others in the clan wanted to irk. With the meeting over, they hastened to pull the Grand Elder out. Once outside the conference room, someone explained to the Grand Elder, "Bai Lian was caught cheating on an exam at Baikeng High School and might be expelled." Baikeng High School was one of the top 10 schools nationwide, not easy to get into. The Bai family had put in great effort to have Bai Lian admitted, only for it to lead to such a scandal. "I originally thought that a genius like Jai Mulin wouldn't have descendants who lagged behind." The Grand Elder's face showed both annoyance and scorn upon hearing the news. He sighed. "It seems that small households truly cannot stand on the same stage as us." Inside the conference room, "You did very well." Bai Kaiming took Bai Shayaki's test paper, unsurprised to see a perfect score. After signing it, he handed it back to Bai Shayaki. "Don't take your sister's behavior to heart." "I know," Bai Shayaki nodded indifferently. She never considered Bai Lian as a rival, so there was no question of harboring any grudges. Bai Kaiming then comforted his daughter. Even though competition is fierce in your grade, if you can pass the interview with Principal Jian and receive her teaching and recommendation, you might still make it into Jiangjing. I will do my best. Her expression was proud and ambitious. Bai Shiaki had always believed she would not end up like Bai Lian, stuck in place and looking up at others. Bai Kaiming naturally believed in her as well. He'd raised his children well from a young age, and they had never caused him any worry. He sent Bai Shiaki back to her studies. After everyone had left, the butler came in to refill Bai Kaiming's teacup. Picking up the cup for a sip, Bai Kaiming suddenly thought of Bai Lian, his expression turning cold. Where is she? Hasn't she admitted her wrongs yet? The butler knew that she referred to Bai Lian. He dared not speak. Setting down the teacup, Bai Kaiming picked up the phone on the desk and said coldly into the receiver, "Tell Bai Lian to come to the conference room to see me." Bai Kaiming finished speaking and hung up the phone. Since ancient times, Jiangjing has always been the capital, the economic center of Asia. Most of the country's inherited major families are located in Jiangjing. Centering on Jiangjing, 4 cities in the southeast, northwest form a clear-cut circle of power and nobility, which to this day remains a chasm that one cannot cross. Almost everyone strives from birth to attend Jiangjing University, that emblem of status and identity. And Xiangcheng, a border town, inhabited by all sorts of people, swarming with international fugitives, where countless people go missing each year, and most people earn a fixed salary, their lives set in stone once they enter the city. Naturally, Bai Kaiming didn't think Bai Lian would go there. Businessmen prioritize profit, and his love for Jai Mulin had been wearing thin day by day. Accordingly, Bai Lian's status fell day by day. Even ordinary families can't treat everyone equally, let alone a grand household like the Bai family. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been unaware that Bai Lian had left the Bai family long ago. The servants downstairs were also restless upon receiving the call, not understanding Bai Kaiming's intention, only exchanging worried glances. Where could they find another young miss to bring back? Shortly after, the servant who answered the phone nervously went upstairs to knock on the study door. The servant was on the verge of tears. "The young miss, she. Butler Bai was by the side, his voice hoarse and his expression complex as he explained, "Sir, the young miss. She set off for Xiangcheng that night." As for the ancestral hall, she didn't even give it a glance. The study instantly fell into a cold silence. "Good, very good indeed." Bai Kaiming's face was as grim as water, and he said indifferently, "Since she's so determined, let her transfer her household registration out too. From now on, whether she lives or dies, whether she is honored or disgraced, it has nothing to do with the Bai family." Bai Lian had caused trouble before, and there were times when Bai Kaiming and Jai Mulin indulged her. But now, she might be overestimating herself, truly believing that the Bai family would go to Xiangcheng to beg her to return. Bai Kaiming's rage naturally couldn't be concealed from others. Soon, the grand elder of the clan came to know of the matter. "Forget it, don't bother, let her seek her own fortune." The grand elder waved his hand, not concerned as long as Bai Shiak's name remained in the family register. "It's just a shame about that mentorship pledge, a cow chewing on a peony." When the Bai family first learned of Bai Shiak's existence, the grand elder personally made 3 respectful visits to invite him back to the Bai family. But Bai Lian's departure was of little consequence to the Bai family. In the hearts of grand elder and the others, Bai Lian was even less significant than that mentorship pledge. By the time Bai Lian received the message from the Bai family's servant, she had already arrived at her uncle's neighborhood. She dismissed the message without a care. Bai Lian's uncle lived in the old district of Xiangcheng. Unlike the high-rise buildings in the center of Baikeng City, this neighborhood was quite rundown. Her uncle's family lived on the 5th floor with no elevator, and the stairwell was dark and unlit. When she knocked on the door and entered, her aunt in a skirt stood up to greet her, her eyes clearly seeking favor as she reached out to take Bai Lian's suitcase. "Alien is here. Why didn't you call so I could help you with your luggage?" Bai Lian didn't hand it over, and her aunt chuckled awkwardly, stepping back. Bai Lian looked up. "Hello," a face that was languid, yet strikingly distinctive. Jai Auntie instantly felt that the shabby 100-square-meter home and the dim stairwell were utterly mismatched with her niece. "Let's eat first, alien. This is your grandfather. You probably haven't met him before. Your uncle is still teaching students to paint. He won't be back until the evening. Do you remember your eldest uncle?" Jai Auntie was very enthusiastic, and she introduced Bai Lian to her grandfather sitting on the couch. Bai Lian's gaze settled on her grandfather. Her grandfather, Jai Heng. According to the original owner's memory, Jai Lian had a poor relationship with the Jai family and had only returned once in many years, standing at the door for a long time. Jai Heng had not opened the door at that time, nor had he seen them. This was their first meeting. Jai Heng sat on the fabric sofa, his eyes fixed on the TV playing news, with reading glasses on his nose. His jacket, though washed and slightly faded, was embroidered with extremely delicate patterns. He sat with a straight back, holding an old smoking pipe in his hand. After the aunt went to the kitchen and quite a while passed, Jai Heng finally spoke in a muffled voice. "Has your mother been in touch with you these past 2 years?" Bai Lian looked at the exquisite embroidery on his body. She sat down on the couch with her eyes lowered and legs crossed, appearing docile and harmless, though her fingers idly twirled a red ribbon. "No." The original owner's mother had been out of touch for 2 years already. Jai Heng nodded, lowered his head to silently draw a puff from his dry pipe, and said no more. Bai Lian obediently sat for a while, but when she saw no one paying attention to her, she casually leaned against the couch and lazily took out her phone to browse the news. The lunch was bountiful, all to Bai Lian's liking. "Have you transferred your school registration yet?" In the midst of silence, Jai Heng inquired. "It's being processed. It should be transferred in a couple of days. When your uncle comes back, have him help you contact the teachers at Xiancheng Middle School." The aunt felt something was amiss. "School records." "What school records?" "I've transferred to Xiancheng to attend school." Bai Lian had only eaten a few bites of white rice before she put down her chopsticks. "I've left the Bai family." Aunt's mind buzzed. "Left? What do you mean by left?" Bai Lian pulled out a tissue and wiped the corner of her mouth, her tone nonchalant. "It means I was kicked out and I need to transfer my household registration too. I can't go back anymore." "What?" Aunt's voice was a bit shrill. "What about your dad?" Bai Lian looked at her with an you-tell-me expression. She didn't see any joke on Bai Lin's face. Aunt didn't eat much. She was distracted and didn't know what she was thinking about and couldn't resist taking out her phone to search. She didn't know what she saw in the news, but her expression turned sour, and she didn't even wash the bowls. Uncle Bai Lian came back quite early, and before he had a chance to greet Jai Heng, he was pulled into the room by Aunt. The soundproofing wasn't very good, and from the room came the muffled voice of Aunt. "Jai Shaejun, did you already know she would be staying here and had me prepare a room for her?" "Keep your voice down." Uncle Jai's voice was low. "Dad and Alien are outside. But did you see the size of our house?" Before long, the two came out. "All right." Jai Heng picked up the pipe that was set aside, knocked it on the table, making a loud noise. His wrinkled face showed no expression. He bowed his head to light it, and the smoke blurred his features. "Alien, come to my place." Jai Shaejun looked toward his father, opened his mouth, but knew once Jai Heng decided something, no one could change his mind. Aunt paused for a moment. Then, smiling, she touched her hair. "Dad, why don't you stay for dinner?" "No." Jai Heng exhaled a ring of smoke, looking over at Bai Lian. "Come back with me." Jai Shaejun was a step behind Jai Heng, waiting for him to leave first. Then he turned to his wife, Shen Qing. "Listen to yourself. What did you just say?" "Alien just got back today. Is it appropriate to say those things?" After many years of marriage, his wife wasn't without emotional intelligence. He didn't understand why she intentionally made Jai Heng and Bai Lian hear those things. "I made it a point to let your dad hear it. Everyone in your family acts the same. If I don't talk straight, your dad won't understand a word." Shen Qing picked up a rag, her voice tinged with sarcasm. She was boiling with irritation. She knew all too well the kind of person her niece was. Getting into fights, drag racing, bar hopping. She didn't miss a beat. Jai Lian had a falling out with Jai Heng when she was 18, and nobody in the Jai family knew she had married into a wealthy family. Shen Qing had secretly seen it on Jai Shaejun's phone before. The Bai family had never acknowledged the Jai family as their poor relations. They hadn't visited Xiangcheng once. She had hoped that with Bai Lian's return to Xiangcheng, there might be a chance for her to socialize with the Bai family. Who could have known that Bai Lian was just like Jai Mulan, falling out with her wealthy father as well? I'm asking you, isn't she a senior like Wangshuan? Are we going to continue supporting her if she doesn't get into university next year? One Jai Mulan, one Jai Sheorong, you won't let them lend a hand, yet you're cleaning up after her. The more she thought about it, the more she felt wronged. She continued, your family always tries to act above it all, but can you eat pride? No wonder the Bai family favors that illegitimate child. This isn't about pride, it's about principles, Jai Sheojun said as he opened the front door, glancing at Shen Qing before going downstairs. And don't compare that illegitimate child with Alien. Shen Qing stood there, her face cold, tossing the rag into the sink. Had she said anything wrong? Even Bai Lian's own mother abandoned her like an old shoe. She was just lucky to be born into a family with some protection. How could she compare to the highly intelligent, illegitimate child of the Bai family? She didn't understand. What were Jai Heng and Jai Sheojun holding onto? Outside. Jai Sheojun quickly caught up to the two others, silently going to pick up Bai Lian's suitcase. Bai Lian paused. She looked at Jai Sheojun for about 10 seconds before letting go. Jai Sheojun hoisted the suitcase. Bai Lian watched his retreating figure for a long while before buckling her hat. She followed behind, leisurely searching on her phone for something that interested her. A new message popped up from one of the original owner's rowdy friends, and she replied. The original owner didn't have many friends, mostly rich kids with nothing better to do. This was the only one who had contacted her in the past couple of days. Rowdy friend, what's with your fiancé? As she spoke, she sent a screenshot. Bai Lian clicked on the image, revealing a WeChat Moments screenshot. Bai Sheaki, this is the price you pay for underestimating others, playful image. The photo showed her distinguished fiancé sideways, holding a rag and wiping a window. It was apparent that Bai Sheaki was well-liked, with lots of responses, likes, and comments beneath the photo. In Baikeng City, who wouldn't recognize Song Min, the third young master of the Song family? Delightful to see, our young master Song has descended to the mortal realm. Only you could do this, goddess. Haha, insider here. Song Min always defies fate, but doesn't he forget that Sheaki is Bai Kaiming's little sister? Right. He must think Sheaki is that young lady who couldn't last a day in our international class, did too poorly in sciences, and then was booted out to study liberal arts by our homeroom teacher in frustration. What, she used to be in the international class? Confused face. How did she get in there? Listen to me, Class 2 is the real victim here, being dragged down by an aircraft carrier. Class 2 class representative, it's so annoying. Our humanities class grades were dragged down by her, and this time it's even better. She scored 0. She cheated alone, and our whole class has to face the ridicule. Bai Sheaki replied to Class 2 class representative. Sister has already gone to Xiangcheng. This is the entire content of the screenshot. The original owner didn't add Bai Sheaki on WeChat, nor did they add Song Min. The friend then messaged Bai Lian. I'm so pissed. She just deliberately replied to that message from the Class 2 representative, and everyone is spreading it like crazy. What's really going on? Are you actually in Xiangcheng? Bai Lian. As you can see, I'm in Xiangcheng. The friend. Are you a fucking idiot for going to that back of beyond place? The friend. Bai Lian, smile the friend, you send me a smile. Miss Bai isn't too familiar with modern people's smiles. She typed a question mark and went back to the search engine, looking up topics of interest. Jai Heng doesn't live in a complex. He lives on Purist Street. In an undeveloped slum of Xiangcheng, there is a large area of bungalows, dark and damp, with a street outside, a no-man's land, full of bars and black markets at the end of the street, very chaotic. The river that faces Purist Street from afar marks the boundary between two countries. This area is particularly chaotic. Most of the time, even the police don't dare to interfere. Today, however, a few patrolling officers can be seen, with small bulges at their waists indicating they are armed. Jai Sheojun glanced over and was surprised. Is someone patrolling today? It has been like this for some time now, Jai Heng replied, holding his tobacco pipe as he walked toward an alley. Jai Shaojun nodded. Having patrolling officers around was better. At least it ensured some safety in the area. After all, Bai Lian's face was quite dangerous in this part of town. The alleyways here are narrow and dimly lit, with cobblestone paths and heaps of uncollected trash lying around bends. Stepping on the stones sometimes squeezed out black water, a stark contrast to the brightly lit Baikeng. Bai Lian remained quiet throughout, not commenting on the conditions here. After winding through several alleys, they finally arrived at Jai Heng's residence, with low houses all around. Jai Heng took out his keys to open the gate to a small courtyard. The courtyard wasn't big. In the middle was a Chinese parasol tree, with a stone table beneath it and a well. Jai Heng, with his pipe in hand, pointed to the room on the right. "That's where your mother used to live. You'll sleep there. The conditions are what they are. If you're not comfortable, you can head back to the Bai family." Having said that, Jai Heng turned and entered his own room. Jai Shaojun gave Bai Lian a comforting smile, relieved to see she hadn't objected, and then brought her suitcase inside. The room was old, but everything inside had been well preserved and was clean. Bai Lian opened her suitcase and took out a pile of books, placing them on the desk near the window. "Alien, you—" Jai Shaojun thought her suitcase would contain her clothes or women's cosmetics, but it was filled with books. He paused for a while before saying softly, "Don't worry about school. We'll figure something out." He went out to look for Jai Heng. Bai Lian sat with her legs crossed at the table, flipping through books, and pulled out a math book that interested her the most. From math to geography and politics, then to English, which was the language she least wanted to look at. She briefly skimmed it before turning to the last subject, history. The original owner studied liberal arts and took history. After about 5 minutes, she pulled out one of the history books. A test paper that was tucked inside fell to the floor. Bending down, she picked it up, but her eyes caught on a question from the paper. 20. Briefly describe Liang Xuan's corvée system and its impact on the long-term stability of the Great Yang dynasty. Why did his death push the coup of Emperor Jiang Wu to its peak? Snap! Bai Lian suddenly tucked the test paper back into the history book. Her breathing became rapid, her fingertips deforming the book with their grip, the rounded edges of her nails turning white as her long eyelashes lowered, covering her trembling eyes. "Do you want me to accompany you?" Jai Shaojun, seeing Bai Lian about to leave from a distance, came out from inside and then explained, "It's quite confusing around here. Shen Qing and the others can't remember the way." Bai Lian stretched her hand to pull on the hood of her sweatshirt and shook her head. "All right." Jai Shaojun noticed she seemed somewhat silent and guessed she might be upset because of the Bai family. He softened his voice. "Don't go far, call me if you can't find the way, and be careful." "Okay." Bai Lian walked back the way she came. Her memory was excellent. Despite the complex routes, she wouldn't forget once she'd walked them. In the past, she had drawn many of the maps used by the military. 2 yuan. The middle-aged man at the small street-side shop handed her a bottle of mineral water and wiped the sweat from his forehead with the towel around his neck. "Young lady, you're not from around here, are you?" Her appearance was striking, and she had a distinctive aura. Her outstanding figure clearly set her apart from ordinary people, and the shop owner could tell she wasn't a local. Purist Street was part of the Old City District, a 3-meter-wide bluestone path. At the end of the street were gambling dens, black markets and bars, a jumbled mess of the good and bad. A kilometer further on, it got even more complicated, the border between 2 countries, a lawless zone where it wasn't rare for someone to disappear. Bai Lian nodded. She used her Huawei smartphone to scan and pay, her gaze falling on the massive branches of the banyan tree next to the shop. The banyan tree was in the temple ahead, and its stout branches enveloped the neighboring low-rise houses beneath its canopy. A 3-meter-long street was lazily crossed by one of the tree's branches. Several strips of red silk hung from it. "The tree god is over 1,300 years old." The shopkeeper continued moving the mountain of boxes piled up outside his shop and explained when he saw Bai Lian looking at the banyan tree. "It's our guardian deity. If you want to take a look, just walk 2 steps forward, and you'll see the main entrance to our tree god temple." Bai Lian's long hair fell gracefully to one side as she leaned against the wall to look at the tree trunk, a hint of laziness in her eyes. Over 1,000 years, huh? She felt several gazes upon her. The shopkeeper put down a box and turned around, involuntarily tightening his grip on the towel around his neck. A few people appeared on the street. It wasn't too hot, but the leader wore a white tank top. The man in the white tank top approached, initially not concerned. But after glancing at Bai Lian's exquisite face that many would find tempting to conquer, he casually took a box of cigarettes from the shopkeeper's store and asked as he pulled one out and bit it, "Who is she?" The shopkeeper was stunned for a moment, then nervously said, "She's my niece." "You don't have a damn niece," the man in the white tank top scoffed, kicking him aside and getting closer to Bai Lian. The shopkeeper was kicked away. "There are patrols these days, you. Several underlings gathered around him. They were obviously quite adept at dealing with such situations, not taking Bai Lian seriously and standing aside, relaxed, enjoying the drama unfold. Bai Lian glanced at the man in the white tank top. "You're looking for me?" The man felt a jolt in his chest as he took a big step forward. He sized up Bai Lian from head to toe, his gaze as slimy as a venomous snake, lighting his cigarette. "Do you know that you have to pay a protection fee to walk on Purist Street?" "Protection fee?" Bai Lian nonchalantly flicked a leaf off her shoulder. She turned her head and smiled sweetly, her eyes twinkling like stars. Sweet and adorable, yet stirring a strong desire to conquer. "Yeah." The man in the white tank top, unable to hold back, reached out to touch Bai Lian's face. At that moment, Bai Lian twisted the empty bottle and threw it into the trash can. As she turned, she grabbed the man's arm reaching toward her, exerting great force to fold it, then grabbed his hair from behind. The man in the white tank top let out an agonized scream just as he tried to resist, but his head was suddenly slammed against the wall behind him. With a thud, his head was smashed hard against the wall. Blood immediately seeped from his forehead. The man in the white tank top contorted his face in pain, and to his horror, found himself unable to move. He could only widen his eyes in shock as he looked at her. "You!" Bai Lian held his hair in her hand, lazily smiling as she used massive force to slam his head against the wall again. Bang! Another sound, more blood flowed out, and the man's vision began to blur as he lost the ability to resist. He was like a rabbit, helpless in her grasp. Nobody doubted his fighting skills. He was the toughest in the area, which was why he was the boss. The three underlings shrunk back to the side. Bai Lian withdrew her gaze. Her attention returned to the man in the white tank top. She was actually a bit curious about the taste of tobacco that so many in this world seemed to enjoy. In the frightened gaze of the man in the white tank top, Bai Lian took his cigarette pack, methodically pulling one out. With her rosy lips gently biting the tip, her eyelashes casually drooped as a nearby underling immediately stepped forward to light it for her. Her hair slightly disheveled, she exhaled a thin stream of smoke from her mouth, casually holding the cigarette between her clean, slender, and pearly white fingers. With her other hand, she lazily held the man's hair as his blood dripped down his face, drop by drop, to the ground. She lazily flicked the ash. "So, now do you still want that protection fee?" Bai Lian lazily tilted her head. Her left hand, grasping her hair, faintly revealed a streak of crimson, the smoky haze softly blurring her exquisite and radiant features. It was a kind of breathtaking beauty. Yet reflected in the eyes of the man in the white tank top was Bai Lian's quasi-smiling face, and he could no longer harbor any other desires. He couldn't speak, only shook his head frantically in terror. "Is that so?" Bai Lian let go of his hair. The smell of smoke was not to her liking. She lazily tossed the cigarette on the ground and stamped it out. "Know how to clean up a scene." Her polite demeanor genuinely frightened others. They nodded obediently. Bai Lian dusted off her sleeves, glancing at them before leaving, and said lightly, "What are you scared of? It's not like I chopped off your heads." Her attitude was very laid back. Of course, only if she hadn't spoken with the same tone one would use when chopping up cabbages. Only after she left did the man in the white tank top slump against the corner of the wall, fearfully moving his numb fingertips. It took his younger brother a long time before he dared to quietly move over, squatting at his feet and lighting a cigarette to quell the shock. "Why did you provoke her?" the man in the white tank top. 15 minutes later, when two patrollers came back around, they stared dumbfounded at the entrance of the small store on Purist Street. The rather troublesome gang leader with some backing was nursing an injury, diligently helping the shopkeeper sweep the floor, move objects around. The other lackeys were also busily engaged in work. "What are you looking at?" The man in the white tank top, clutching a cigarette, glanced at the two officers and grumbled irritably, "Damned cops!" After cursing, he continued moving boxes. The shopkeeper standing nearby, trembling with fear, was just about to lend a hand. The man in the white tank top returned the money he owed the shopkeeper for cigarettes, looking fierce and menacing. "Did I ask you to clean up?" He continued unloading the goods, unable to understand even after a puff on another cigarette. What, is she crazy? How can she smile so sweetly and fight so savagely? The man in the white tank top thought expressionlessly. She even wanted to chop off his head. Not far away. "Hello, Captain." The young officer watched the small shop warily, took out his walkie-talkie with a grave expression. "Yes, request a thorough check on the owner of the small store at 112 Purist Street. No, I'm not joking." It wasn't yet dark when Bai Lian got back. Jai Shaojun was just stepping out to look for her. He noticed that after a short outing, Bai Lian seemed to be in a better mood again. Jai Shaojun felt a bit more at ease, knowing life in Xiangcheng Baikeng varied greatly. He truly feared Bai Lian might struggle to adjust. Bai Lian sat at the stone table, her hand lazily propping up her chin, watching Jai Shaojun make several trips to fill the home's water tanks, then suddenly spoke up. "Uncle." Jai Shaojun set the water bucket next to the well, startled by Bai Lian's voice. He paused. Bai Lian had only visited Xiangcheng twice with Jai Mulan before, and this was the first time she had called him uncle. "Yes." His voice suddenly rose. "What is it?" Bai Lian blinked her large eyes, looking very docile. "I want to switch to science." She didn't say, "I think." She said, "I want." "Ah." Jai Shaojun picked up the rope for drawing water, his thoughts turning over. "Can you tell your uncle why?" He knew Bai Lian was studying liberal arts. The gap between the liberal arts and science courses was vast. Science was especially brutal with logical reasoning and clearly defined difficulties, where not knowing one thing meant not knowing it entirely. Bai Lian smiled. Jai Shaojun and Jai Heng did not talk much, but in their treatment of Bai Lian, there was a distinct sense of caution and probing. This gave her a sense of acceptance and recognition in a strange world. She didn't dislike it. She even felt a bit of belonging. Of course, she didn't understand why the original host abandoned such good family members and died in the lake for a few unrelated people. "No particular reason." Bai Lian titled her head and asked again. "Can't I, uncle?" Jai Shaojun. "Good, you can. Leave it to me." Watching Jai Shaojun's retreating back as he went to find Jai Heng, Bai Lian withdrew her docile gaze and smiled lazily with her chin propped up. Being alive seemed not too bad after all. "That's your reason for agreeing." Jai Heng held a bolt of fabric, looking at Jai Shaojun, his deeply lined face showing a look of incomprehension. There weren't many people in the courtyard. Besides the kitchen to the left, there was also a small storeroom, filled with brightly colored fabric despite being somewhat aged. Jai Shaojun would help Jai Heng clean whenever he had time. He let out a sheepish laugh, adjusted a dust cover, and muttered quietly, "But she called me uncle." "Nonsense." Jai Heng's face tightened with sternness, his authority undiminished. "She's in her 3rd year of high school and knows no better, do you not? Switching from liberal arts to science at this stage, is that a joke?" Switching subjects in the senior year of high school was quite an absurdity indeed. His son was highly intelligent, so why be so muddled on this matter? Jai Shaojun was also puzzled by Bai Lian's sudden change of heart. She had been out, came back in a good mood, and then suddenly wanted to switch subjects. He silently continued with the task at hand, then suddenly recalling something, he hesitantly spoke up. "The 2 illegitimate sons from the Bai family, aren't they all studying science?" Bai Shaok became the top scholar in the city last year and was admitted to Jiangjing University. The Bai family had made quite a stir online. Even here in Xiangcheng the news spread, and people said the illegitimate daughter was exceptionally good in the sciences. As Jai Heng caressed a piece of fine satin, he heard this but didn't immediately respond. His hands were already lined with deep, rugged wrinkles. After a long while, he said, "Her temperament. Dad," Jai Shaojun had some regrets about bringing it up. "I think Alien has become more sensible this time. She's thoughtful, a late bloomer. You should give her a chance. Let her retake the exam next year. She might still achieve an ideal score." Of course, he was just casually mentioning it. He knew what his niece was like. If she could quietly finish her senior year, that would be quite an achievement. Their family didn't expect her to come back with any top scholar honors for them. If she was happy, then they would let her be. Whether she studied literature or science didn't matter. Jai Heng turned around and cautiously pulled out a small oil paper package from the cabinet behind him. He then opened the package and drew out a slender needle. He didn't argue any further. Jai Shaojun could tell he had agreed when he saw this. As he put away the fabric, he looked at Jai Heng with the needle in hand. "Shall I help you bring out the embroidery frame?" Jai Heng did not immediately answer. After a good while, he gave a nearly imperceptible nod. "Go ahead." Jai Shaojun's eyes lit up. "Okay, I'll go right now." It was already dark. Jai Shaojun called Shen Qing to say he'd be home late and stayed to help Jai Heng tidy up the warehouse. They took out things like the embroidery frame, cleaned them, and then set them out to dry in the courtyard. He hummed a tune as he wiped down the dark-colored embroidery frame. The light in Bai Lian's room was also on. He could see her reflection in the window, reading at her desk. Bai Lian was different. Jai Shaojun felt it. Even today, when she stepped into the dark water on the cobblestones, she didn't frown at all. She was different from her mother. Suddenly, Jai Shaojun felt that Bai Lian being sent back by the Bai family might not be such a bad thing after all. Jai Shaojun was helping Bai Lian contact schools and teachers. Additionally, there was the matter of her household registration, which needed to be transferred to the Jai family. These past days, Bai Lian had been in the library. The astonishments of this era were not just limited to mobile phones and computers, but included the library too. She had never seen a library with such an extensive collection that was also open to the public. This really was a wonderful era. There was just one problem. Bai Lian looked down at the physics book beside her, then at the physics problems. After writing a couple questions, she put down her pen and murmured softly, "Now, am I finally going to start tarnishing my teacher's reputation?" She wouldn't dare to claim a deep mastery over the refined arts and sciences expected of a scholar as in the past, but at least she had become proficient. As for the knowledge in the modern era of rapid technological advancement, the original owner of the body had a mind completely empty of information. She had been reading books in the library for a few days now and could understand most of it. She felt the books she was reading were not necessarily difficult, but the problem was this: the knowledge and examples she studied. 1 + 1 equals the questions she was doing. Prove pi. +1 = 0. Bai Lian idly pondered. Would the teachers forgive her for disgracing them in the modern world if she burnt a few more incense sticks for them when she returned? The library had a vast collection of books, but there were shortcomings. For instance, the depth of knowledge and the volume of problem sets were lacking. She hadn't come across them. Hearing her sigh, the child next to her with a paintbrush turned his head, looking at her with big, clear, sparkling eyes. "Choose C," he suddenly spoke. Bai Lian paused. She flipped to the answer key. C was correct. So she turned to him. Mental calculation. On her first day at the library, she had seen this kid, a little friend who had followed her from the train station to the city gates since her arrival in Xiancheng. Quite a fate. In the days following, both of them would appear right on time at 8 o'clock when the library opened. They studied and read together, not much for talking. The little brat shook his head. After a pause, he explained, "My brother created a rapid recollection model for these kinds of questions, using a special algorithm." Whose ordinary kid memorizes rapid recollection models? Yet Bai Lian accepted this readily. "Really? Do you want some milk tea?" "No." Bai Lian didn't give him a chance to object. She leaned on the desk with a smile light as spring rain. "Oh, by the way, I've always considered you a good friend." She hesitated for a moment. "What's your name?" "Jianghe." "Jianghe, as in the crane that leaves for the lone mountain and has yet to return." Ah, Jianghe, I've always considered you a good friend. Bai Lian crumpled the piece of paper in her hand and threw it casually behind her, tapping his head. Come on, let's go outside. The two left their seats. The paper balls smoothly landed in a red, hollowed-out wastebasket in the corner. A ring came from the mobile phone in her pocket, an unlisted number. Bai Lian casually answered, "Hello?" The person on the other end hadn't expected her voice to be so calm. There was a pause before the dispassionate voice said, "It's me." "Who?" Bai Lian wasn't very patient. "Bai Lian, I have more in common with Bai Shayaki. Even without her, our relationship wouldn't change." On the other end of the phone, Song Min didn't believe that Bai Lian didn't have his number. He just thought she was pretending. Pressing the center of his forehead, his voice was cold and exasperated. "You think it's very childish to take the master's token to Xiancheng because of this?" Huh, Bai Lian was so angered she laughed. She had figured out who the person opposite her was. Clutching Jianghe's head, did this Song person think she had become jealous of Bai Shayaki, and that's why she deliberately took away the apprenticeship token? First of all, you need to understand one thing. The apprenticeship token was left to me by my mother. Bai Lian stepped out of the library, glancing at the milk tea shop across the road with her slightly squinted eyes that were pitch black and deep. There was a shallow defiance hiding within her clean and cold beauty. And another thing, as for my belongings, it's not just about me taking them away. Even if I burned them, what could you do about it? There was a pause at the other end of the phone where Song Min was. Bai Lian indifferently lowered her head and with a click hung up the call. After a moment of thought, she blocked the caller. Song Min had reminded her there was still a marriage arrangement between them. It was time to find an opportunity to break it off. How inauspicious. Jianghe tugged at the hem of her clothes. Bai Lian looked down, lazily pinching his cheek with her slender fingers, cool and clear as jade. "You're the cutie here, now tell me, what do you want to drink?" 2 minutes later, Bai Lian was queuing at the milk tea shop across the street. It was the only milk tea shop in the area, and it was rush hour for people getting off work and leaving classes, so there was a decent-sized queue. Jianghe didn't like crowded places, so he squatted by the side of the road waiting for her. It was his first time encountering a problem in life. A good friend of his offered to buy him milk tea. Of course, there was a condition. Jianghe poked his black wristwatch on his right hand, which immediately displayed a floating, lightweight, three-dimensional interface. He opened WeChat, hesitated for a long time, and finally sent a message: how to quickly learn physics in the center of Xiancheng, a standalone Chinese-style manor. Several people were waiting across the road. "Dr. Gao, I didn't expect you to visit Xiancheng. I just received the news yesterday," said a well-dressed elderly man, looking at the young man with exceptional politeness. If other residents of Xiancheng were there, they would have been greatly surprised. For this elderly man was Ren Kaiyan, a frequent figure in Xiancheng news, and one of the city's administrators. Dr. Gao was quite young and not tall, with glasses perched on his nose. Upon hearing, as if waiting for something, he glanced at Ren Kaiyan and grunted an acknowledgement without saying much more. He was accustomed to being the center of attention wherever he was. Ren Kaiyan's admiring gaze was the norm for him. Ren Kaiyan knew of Dr. Gao's schedule today and came specially to meet him. "Dr. Gao, I've organized a dinner at Wan Building for tonight. Do you think you'll have time?" "We'll see," Dr. Gao frowned slightly. "All right, just let the teaching assistant know if you find the time." His answer was within Ren Kaiyan's expectations. He was there today just to make his presence felt. "Then, Dr. Gao will be off first," before he finished speaking. "ZZZZT?" There was a sound. A black car stopped at the entrance of the manor across the street. Seeing Dr. Gao's reaction, Ren Kaiyan was taken aback and looked over. Who could make Dr. Gao wait here for 2 hours? On the other side, Dr. Gao was wearing his lab coat, squeezing his way to the entrance of the manor. Following the young man in the black t-shirt inside, he carried with him the pride of his age. "Mr. Jiang, you accepted other countries into CRFS, but rejected our country, merely because you dislike its people. Don't you think it frivolous to let personal feelings interfere with international cooperation?" As the assistant handed over the letter to Jiang Fulai, he was shocked at the forthright challenge. Jiang Feilai took the letter, ignoring him. Continuing to walk, bodyguards blocked Dr. Gao. Dr. Gao took advantage of a momentary lapse in the guard's attention to break free. As he opened his mouth wide, the assistant, sensing danger, was about to intervene. However, Dr. Gao's next words were already out, tinged with scorn and anger. Have you forgotten our university's motto that before scientific research there are no borders? You've long forgotten your original aspiration. There was a dead silence. The atmosphere was as if they had suddenly been plunged into a snowy mountain at 6,000 meters above sea level. The pressure heavy, the icy wind howling and piercing. Jiang Feilai finally stopped, raising his hand to stop his subordinates, and looked down at the other man with an unflappable air. "Who are you?" he asked. Dr. Gao had been a genius from a young age, skipping grades and returning from studies in our country at 26, participating in several global research projects. Just last year, his teacher was elected an academician. Describing him as a top-tier academic force was not an exaggeration. His resume at Jiangjing University was well regarded, and all the deans paid him some respect. Yet in front of Jiang Feilai, he was nameless. Opening his mouth, almost humiliated, he said, "Gao Jiaqin." "Gao Jiaqin," Jiang Feilai nodded. He had particularly pale eyes that emitted a cool mist, and his lips were also pale. He asked calmly in return, "And why would you think I need to explain myself to you?" Gao Jiaqin swallowed, taken aback as he, who had always been the center of attention, stammered in confusion. "But you, it's hard for me to trust you like this." Jiang Feilai cut him off. "Do you think your trust means a lot to me?" Gao Jiaqin was stunned, completely unprepared for this side of the legendary Jiang Feilai. But you do have a point. Discriminating against them alone is not right." Jiang Feilai methodically folded the letter in his hand, and then bent down to elegantly slip it into Gao Jiaqin's pocket, his eyes slightly downcast, cool and detached. "The envelope has the International Alliance's contact information. Feel free to lodge a complaint." He stood up straight. His black clothes gave him a lonely and unapproachable air as he strode back into the house. "Take down his name. He's permanently blacklisted from my projects from now on." The cell phone in his pocket rang. Jiang Feilai lowered his gaze. It was a message from someone who never texts him. How to learn physics quickly. Jiang Feilai casually sent back an image and turned his head. "What is Jiang He up to?" His subordinate, who was always informed of Jiang He's whereabouts, said, "The young master is in the library, with Mr. Ming following him." Jiang Feilai tapped on his phone screen unconsciously, his nails neatly trimmed, and his hands showing a pathologically pale hue through which faint blue veins were visible. He nodded and then fell silent. Behind him, Gao Jiaqin watched Jiang Feilai's retreating figure in alarm. This time he was truly panicked. Jiang's young master. Jiang. Gao Jiaqin was muffled and dragged away by the bodyguard. The assistant nonchalantly took note of this person's name. Outside, Ren Kaiyan and the Secretary General were still by the roadside. He watched Dr. Gao enter the manor and then get thrown out shortly afterward. "Get in the car!" Ren Kaiyan turned to leave before he saw Dr. Gao. "Mr. Ren, who was that?" The Secretary General opened the car door for Ren Kaiyan to enter. He looked across at the old building, astonished, barely catching Dr. Gao's reference to Jiang's young master. CRFS is an engineering project by a dark matter cooperative group. Jiangjing chose old bomb shelters left in Xiangcheng to build the research institute, located 29 meters underground, making it the deepest dark matter research institute in the world, currently undergoing evaluation and acceptance of its associated projects. Due to its high level of secrecy, even Ren Kaiyan, as the highest administrator in Xiangcheng, didn't know the specific interior list. He had gotten in touch with Dr. Gao, a teaching assistant, through someone he knew. "I don't know. The CRFS project is highly confidential, and that person inside." Ren Kaiyan pondered for a moment. "His surname?" Dr. Gao called him Jiang's young master, so his surname is Jiang. The Secretary General began, but suddenly his eyes widened in realization. No wonder. Ren Kaiyan looked out the car window, his voice distant. "Contact Dr. Gao's teaching assistant again tomorrow and hope he didn't see us." The Secretary General wasn't sure if Dr. Gao had seen them. If Dr. Gao knew they had seen him in such a disheveled state, befriending him would become an uncertain prospect. "We'll see," Ren Kaiyan sighed lightly, recalling another issue. "Why did Sheorong suddenly take leave? He didn't even meet with Dr. Gao with me today." "He went home." The Secretary General looked down at the schedule in his notebook. "Mr. Jai said he went to pick up Miss Wangshuan to visit her grandfather." Upon hearing this, Ren Kaiyan expressed no opinion. He wasn't familiar with the Jai family affairs. The Jai family had only appeared once at his daughter's wedding, and he only cared about one thing: why go back at this time? He usually only returned home for holidays and festivals. Sheorong was also an intellectual, and Ren Kaiyan had intended to take him along to converse with Dr. Gao. However, he had taken a leave today. Ren Kaiyan was already dissatisfied with him, and now his expression grew even more indifferent. "It seems he heard that a niece has returned." Ren Kaiyan no longer inquired. He had little interest in the Jai family's affairs. To them, the Jai family was simply too ordinary. The Secretary General chuckled. When the Ren family's only daughter, Ren Jiawei, had taken a fancy to the poor young man Jai Sheorong back then, not a single person in the Ren family had agreed given the vast difference in their social status. However, 20 years had passed, and the Jai family had been quietly compliant. In all of Xiancheng, hardly anyone knew that the ordinary poor kid from Purist Street, Jai Sheorong, had successfully married into the Ren family. Low profile, well-behaved, uncompetitive yet without much presence, on Jiang He's side. He squatted at the edge of the road. Jiang Fulai's reply was prompt: image.jpg, only one image. Jiang He opened it, the cover of a physics book from Jiangjing University that someone had helped to write. Bai Lian returned to see the blue, fluorescent, three-dimensional display on Jiang He's watch and handed over the milk tea. "What's this?" She'd bought an extra-large cup, and Jiang He couldn't take it with just one hand, so he used both hands to hold it. Bai Lian bent her head and saw the cover of a book. "Physics at Jiangjing University." "This book," Jiang He said slowly, his expression somewhat reluctant, "is quite amazing." Bai Lian nodded, pulled out her cell phone to take a photo of the cover, but when she opened the camera, the image on the kid's watch wasn't visible. What kind of black technology was this? The two fell silent for a few seconds, and then added each other on WeChat. Jiang He's phone finally had a seventh contact. The two sat by the roadside, staring intently at the passing cars. "It really is magical," Bai Lian said with her hand on her knee, tapping her fingertips rhythmically, her other leg casually bent. "I read about the vehicle electrical systems. The book said that when electrified, the rotor's magnetic field can make the stator generate alternating current, but still, it's magical." Bai Lian was interested in everything modern, and she could visualize her electrical system with her eyes closed. But she didn't know the principles behind it. For the past few days, after finishing their studies, the two would sit by the roadside and watch cars. Jiang He hugged the milk tea, tilting his head to look at her. "All right," Bai Lian glanced at WeChat. Her grandfather was asking when she would return. She inserted the straw into Jiang He's milk tea, stood up, and patted his head. "I'm off, see you tomorrow." She boarded the number 12 bus. Jiang He squatted in place, hugging the milk tea while drinking it, and watched the number 12 bus wobbling away. A car silently stopped in front of him. The car door opened, and a crew-cut man stepped out from the driver's seat. Jiang He climbed into the back while the man buckled him in. He spoke. "Uncle Ming." Jiang He said slowly, "Can I go back with Sister Bai Lian?" Ming Dingheng. He replied expressionlessly, "I'll ask the young master." "The question is, wouldn't taking you back scare her parents to death? She kindly played with you, why would you repay kindness with ingratitude?" On Purist Street, at the Jai family's home, a middle-aged man stood in the courtyard, looking down at the brown, antique embroidery frame. "Dad, you've been looking for half an hour." The girl dressed in Xiancheng Middle School's uniform, who was playing with her phone at the stone table, was bored stiff. "When are we going home?" The man, in a black suit, upon hearing this, did not turn around. "Wait for your cousin to return." "Don't I just have one cousin?" asked Ren Wangshuan in surprise. She hadn't visited the Jai family often since she was a child and wasn't familiar with the Jai family's affairs, but she remembered having only one uncle and one cousin. "Yes, and you have an aunt," said Jai Sheorong succinctly. While they were talking, Jai Heng came out from inside and handed Ren Wongshuan a small gift box. "Thank you, grandfather." Ren Wongshuan smiled sweetly, took the gift box, and then casually placed it on the stone table. But she didn't really care. Her personal items were all custom-made by the Ren family, and as the Ren family's only daughter, every piece of clothing was custom-made by renowned brands. Yet every time she came here, Jai Heng would make clothes for her. Ren Wongshuan naturally didn't like them, and the clothes were put into storage by her mother and never worn. Still no news about the young sister. Jai Sheorong's gaze shifted away from the embroidery frame. He frowned, knowing little about Jai Mulan. She had been proud since childhood and didn't get along with him. Jai Heng picked up his smoking pipe. "None. I heard Big Brother say that her daughter is transferring here." Jai Sheorong shifted the subject away from Jai Mulan. Ren Wongshuan half-listened to their conversation, catching the gist. This relative was 2 years older than her, currently a senior in high school. She listened for a bit, lost interest, picked up her phone to chat with a friend, and then raised her eyebrows. "Senior brother, do you think? She might want to transfer here because she heard my grandfather is Ren Kaiyan." She typed and asked. Ren Wongshuan never wanted to speculate about others with malice, but she knew what Xiang Cheng was like. The teaching intensity at Xiang Cheng Middle School was average, but the Ren family would hire the best private tutors for her. However, those with even a slight connection mostly transferred to places like Baikeng to attend school. Who would want to come back? Just as Ren Wongshuan finished typing, Jai Heng suddenly looked towards the door. "Alien is back." Jai Sheorong paused, turning his body to look at the courtyard gate. A girl pushed the door open and entered. As the girl entered, it was as if a flash of lightning had suddenly streaked across the dark sky. She was wearing a light blue top with neat, orderly buttons, and the 3/4 sleeves were slightly wide with a white auspicious cloud pattern on the cuffs. Below, she wore beige casual pants that reached her ankles, embroidered with lifelike pink apricot blossoms that seemed to surge with her every step. In her hand, she casually toyed with a pair of white headphones, and a touch of red on her wrist was like a red plum in the snow. Jai Sheorong's gaze fell on her clothes, and he instantly recognized that the meticulous stitches were the work of Jai Heng's hand. Jai Mulan really did give birth to a well-behaved daughter. "This is your second uncle," Jai Heng introduced, pointing at Jai Sheorong with his tobacco pipe for Bai Lian. Ren Wongshuan didn't look at the so-called cousin. She was still thinking about matters, so her expression was somewhat indifferent. When she noticed Jai Heng once again pointing at Jai Sheorong with his tobacco pipe, she frowned slightly. She had been taught etiquette by instructors hired by the Ren family since she was young, learning the aristocratic etiquette of Jiangjing. Pointing at someone with a tobacco pipe was simply too vulgar. Even a servant in the Ren family wouldn't commit such a crude act. When she first saw Jai Heng take out a chipped blue and white porcelain bowl, as a child, Ren Wongshuan told Jai Heng that it was too dirty and unhygienic. She was severely scolded by Jai Sheorong. After that, Jai Heng never used that bowl to entertain her again and bought a clean white porcelain bowl instead. But Ren Wongshuan also didn't dare to speak out of turn anymore. Today she could only suppress her feelings, then go home and complain to her mother, who rarely let her visit the Jai family. Bai Lian clasped her headphones, glanced at the second uncle Jai Heng had mentioned, and curved her lips into a smile, brimming with amiability. "Hello." She didn't call him second uncle. Her voice was like the clear and spirited tone of a gently pressed piano key, and Ren Wongshuan subconsciously turned her head. She saw a pair of extremely beautiful eyes, clear and sharply contrasted between the black and white. Looking further down at the vintage clothing, Ren Wongshuan had not thought before seeing her that such outdated fashion could look so attractive on someone, even if Ren Wongshuan didn't want to admit it. She clenched her phone. "It's rare for you to come back," Jai Heng said, not one for many words. He broke the silence, telling Jai Sheorong, "Dinner here tonight." Ren Wongshuan took her gaze back. She stood up, her behavior very cultured. Dad, I still have a private tutor class and can't be home too late. She glanced at the well in the courtyard from the corner of her eye. The Jai family used water from here. Though the well looked clean, she really didn't want to touch the water from this place. So every visit was brief, and she never drank the water Jai Heng offered her. Though Xiangcheng was off the beaten path, most of the area close to Xiangcheng had been replanned long ago, and the community had been equipped with sterilized tap water. Meanwhile, Purist Street remained the same year after year, with no construction, and the residents still used well water. Ren Wangshuan had never seen people using well water in this day and age. Jai Xiorong glanced at her. Then you go back first. The driver is still waiting for you outside. Oh, by the way, Jai Xiorong seemed to remember something. Xuangshuan, this is your cousin. She's also in her senior year and is about to switch from arts to sciences. You two should exchange contact information. Saying this, he looked towards Bai Lian. Alien, Xuangshuan is also studying science, and her grades are excellent. You can ask her if you have any questions. Bai Lian lowered her head, studying the headphones. She decided she would take them apart to see how they worked as soon as she got back to her room. After being called out, she lifted her head to look at Ren Wangshuan and slowly attempted to take out her phone from her pocket. Ren Wangshuan pinched her phone, holding the power button down to turn it off. Dad, I'm 2 years younger than her. I'm 17 this year. She paused, then said, I've been playing games just now and my phone is dead. Hello. Ren Wangshuan faced Bai Lian squarely, very politely, and took out a certain fruit-branded phone, her manner graceful. Then, let's add each other as friends next time. Bai Lian quirked her brow and withdrew her hand from reaching for her phone. Sorry. Jai Xiorong also fell silent for a moment, then spoke softly to Ren Wangshuan. You're in your senior year. Don't play games every day. Ren Wangshuan didn't respond, but nodded casually and then bid farewell to Jai Heng. As he turned around, his smile disappeared instantly, replaced by irritation and impatience. Could just anyone become a relative of the Ren family? Today, with Jai Xiorong present, Bai Lian didn't have to wash the dishes after dinner, as Jai Xiorong did it. Jai Heng watched him searching for the bucket. The bucket is in the storage room. Have you forgotten again? Jai Xiorong smiled and then looked around the courtyard before heading to the storage room. Jai Heng sat on a stool by the door, with paper and pen laid out on the table. Bai Lian had just taken off her headphones when she saw Jai Heng wearing glasses, sitting alone under the yellow light, his figure elongated by the shadow. She clenched her headphones in her hand, walked over and squatted beside his feet, looking up. Grandpa. Jai Heng paused in his work and looked down at her. What is it? Here. She opened her palm to show him a little blue toy. I got this with my bubble tea today. Jai Heng looked at the little blue rabbit in her hand and reached out to take it. Look at this pattern, do you like it? He showed Bai Lian the painting on the table. Bai Lian glanced at it. It was a meticulous traditional Chinese painting of plum blossoms, the yellow stamens distinct and lifelike. It's beautiful. Well then, I will submit it for printing tomorrow. Jai Heng shifted his gaze away and gestured for Bai Lian to return to her own business. Go back to your reading. Remember to get up early tomorrow. Your uncle is taking you to school. He was talking about Jai Xiejun, whose school registration had already been transferred. Oh, Bai Lian stood up, and as she went back to her room, she made a request. After that is mounted, can you stitch me a peony? I like peonies too. Make one for me next time. You're picky now. Jai Heng glanced at her. After she went inside her room, Jai Heng stayed sitting where he was, motionless for a long while, mounted on a frame. It had been so long since Jai Heng had heard this term. He seemed to have gotten used to people nowadays liking fashion, preferring high-end dresses and haute couture clothing. No one liked the flowers he embroidered, and no one appreciated the clothes he made. Even the ones he made for Jai Mulan, she didn't take a single piece when she ran away from home. He looked at Bai Lian's retreating figure, then lowered his gaze to the little blue rabbit in his hand. Inside the room, Bai Lian was in a good mood since she didn't have to wash dishes. She returned to her room, placed her opened headphones on the table, and the first thing she did was look up the book Jiang he had sent her. She opened Baidu and searched Jiangjing University Physics. However, the results were bizarre. There was everything except for the book from Jiangjing University and Jiangjing University Physics. She glanced at her phone screen and there was even a result. Got 17 points in physics, Bai Lian. Good for you, classmate. She went back to WeChat, tapped on Jianghe's profile and politely greeted. He glanced at it and saw the message was from someone with a Zhang building profile picture, his eyes lighting up. He threw away the pillow, tapped his smartwatch, and a slim, floating 3D page appeared with Bai Lian's message. Bai Jian. Jianghe replied, one character at a time, by sister. Bai Jian. I won't go to the library tomorrow, I have classes, Jianghe. Okay. Bai Jian. I can't find the book you sent, it's not on Jingbao either. Jianghe rested his chin on his knee, blinking. Jianghe. I'll ask brother. He got up from the carpet to go to the study. Jiang Fulai was in a video conference. He wore a white lounge suit, leaning back with a relaxed posture, his pale fingers resting on the table, his light and lofty eyes half-lidded, exuding a sense of nobility and indifference. Upon seeing Jianghe, he slowly straightened up, switched off the camera and muted the microphone. What is it? Jianghe approached and showed him the watch screen. Are you asking for her? Jiang Fulai raised an eyebrow, his soft lounge suit making his coldness seem a bit diluted. Jianghe nodded. Jiang Fulai took from him the half-solved, twisty puzzle. I hear you want to go back with them. Jianghe nodded again. Jiang Fulai methodically restored the puzzle to its original state, casting him a glance in between. You can't. Jianghe looked at his puzzle, this time not nodding. Go back to bed. Jiang Fulai handed the puzzle back to him. I'll have someone send the book over tomorrow. The delivery of his laboratory detector did not meet his standards this time. He needed a detector capable of sensitively sensing recoil nuclei. But the detecting medium in the laboratory was not large enough. So he was altering the design to ensure the detector was large yet had a very low detection energy threshold. There was not much time. Conveniently, Jianghe had recently found a playmate, so he didn't need to be distracted by looking after him. After Jianghe left, Jiang Fulai finally withdrew his gaze, reopened the camera and microphone, and tapped the desk with his hand, calm and indifferent. Continue. The following day at Xiangcheng Middle School, the largest high school in Xiangcheng, Bai Lian followed Jai Shaojun into an office. In the office, Lu Lingxi wore glasses, had short hair, and despite trying to hide it, there were visible whites in her hair. She looked at Bai Lian with a gentle gaze. Bai student, can you tell the teacher why you want to switch to science? Why switch to science? Bai Lian half lowered her eyelids, her lashes slightly drooping, long and curled, masking the darkness at the bottom of her eyes. If initially it was just about not wanting to see history now. Curious, she spoke quietly. Curious. This was a response Lu Lingxi hadn't anticipated. Yes, Bai Lian said, looking at the computer on the neighboring office desk. Like how I really want to know how computers transmit information. Her black pupils reflected the sun's rays from outside the window, resembling a lazy white cat. Things had changed, and no matter how frightened or unsteady she had been when she first crossed into this world. But she was earnestly exploring this era, and undoubtedly, she was now filled with curiosity about it. Jai Shaojun was hearing Bai Lian's reason for the first time, and he couldn't help but tilt his head, looking at the serious expression on his well-behaved niece's face. After a moment of silence, he remembered how she had answered him last time. Oh, so what? Heh, giving him the runaround. Good. Lu Lingxi looked at Bai Lian calmly, seeing her seriousness. How about you do a set of comprehensive science papers for me to look at? She found a comprehensive science exam paper on the desk. Bai Lian took 20 minutes to complete it and returned it to Lu Lingxi. Lu Lingxi was a language teacher. She took the paper and handed it to a physics teacher in the same office, asking him to help review the exam. Then she said warmly to Bai Lian, Let's go, I'll take you to our class. There are a total of 20 classes in Senior 3, and we are in Class 15. Jai Shaojun followed as well. Senior 3 had its own building, with a total of 5 floors from top to bottom, 4 classrooms per floor, 2 stairways, and offices in the middle. Teacher Lu's office was on the 2nd floor, and Class 15 was in the middle of the 3rd floor. As they passed a stairway, there was a girl in a school uniform coming upstairs with a composition book in her arms. Teacher Lu. Ren's student. Lu Lingxi adjusted her glasses and stopped, her voice tender. Leave your homework book on my desk. Wait for me a moment. I have something to tell you. Okay. Ren Wangshuan looked up, but her gaze fell on Jai Sheijun. She hadn't seen Jai Sheijun many times, but he looked similar to her father, so she could recognize him. However, at that moment, her attention was on the person beside Jai Sheijun. It was her, Bai Lian. Ren Wangshuan paused, her mind racing with thoughts. Had she really transferred to this school? Did the Jai family ever mention the Ren family to her? Jai Sheijun saw Ren Wangshuan, and from her look alone, he knew what she was thinking. He calmly shifted his gaze away. He used to be kind to Ren Wangshuan. Once when he had a matter and wanted to ask Jai Sheorong for help, he went through great lengths to get through the Ren family's doors. Then, in the Ren family's trash can, he saw the drawing he had gifted to Ren Wangshuan. Since then, he had never visited the Ren family again. Lu Lingxi then explained in a low, smiling voice to Bai Lian and Jai Sheijun, sighing, That's Ren Wangshuan. She's really very, very smart, skipped 2 grades in middle school. Bai student, you'll get to know her after 2 days in school. If there's a chance, you could ask her for some study tips. Ren Wangshuan did not care about Jai Sheijun. She smiled at Lu Lingxi, retracted her gaze, and headed to the office. After placing her homework book on the desk, she noticed a set of comprehensive science exam papers there. Class 15. At the front of the classroom stood a middle-aged man with a slightly rotund figure, his back curved as his hands rested on the lectern. Now, looking at this problem, what should we do first? We set the coordinates for this moving point M, using trigonometric substitution and the trigonometric identity, right? And what's the next step? Write down the coordinates of the other points as well. Then it becomes pretty obvious, they're all collinear. Can we not determine the coordinates of point P? Isn't the slope of PQ now evident? Isn't it quite simple, right? The students in the class were dozing off, responding intermittently. Lu Lingxi knocked on the door. Mr. Zia, I've brought a new student. Some students in class 15 languidly looked up, and in the light, the newcomer was seen wearing a simple white cross-collared shirt, embroidered with a tiny white poppy at the neckline, paired with a black horsehair skirt below. In her white blouse and black skirt, her black hair was neatly coiled with a wooden hairpin, and she had no other accessories. Her features were pretty, and she exuded a lazy elegance, giving her an irresistible aura. The math teacher momentarily felt as if he had time-traveled, as if he were in the Imperial College, and approaching him was his most spirited female disciple. She entered the classroom and spoke in the midst of a profound silence. Hello, everyone. My name is Bai Lian. At the sound of bang, the atmosphere instantly exploded. May I ask, lion from which lion? A girl sitting in the back excitedly raised her hand to ask. Standing politely at the lectern, Bai Lian casually tilted her head upon hearing the question. The lion, as in the vines of an emperor's home. Wow, cool. Some boys even started banging on their desks and shouting. Some girls, seemingly composed, bowed their heads, but had already taken out their phones to frantically communicate in chat groups. All right, calm down, you lot, Lu Lingxi said with a smile. Bai Lian, take the empty seat in the 4th group. She looked at the girl with her head down by the window, her voice softening. Next to Yang Lin. Bai Lian walked towards the only empty seat in the classroom with her backpack. If you need anything, you can come to me. Yang Lin spoke in a delicate and gentle voice, and after she finished speaking to Bai Lian, she kept her head down, continuing to do her homework. Thank you. Lu Lingxi returned to the office. Wangshuan, you'll have to write on the bulletin board at the intersection later. Ren Wangshuan had studied under a famous teacher since she was little and had good handwriting. Lu Lingxi was also partial to her. Also, you're aware of the Jingjiang preparatory camp, aren't you? Ren Wangshuan nodded. I know. She didn't just know. Her grandfather was also actively communicating with a doctor from Jiangjing. Some schools use software from the preparatory camp to drill their top students with questions. Lu Lingxi spoke slowly. Our school recently got a spot, but there's only one, so the school will decide who gets it after another month. The spot for Jingjiang preparatory camp was basically a guaranteed ticket to Jiangjing University. There were very few opportunities to get this software spot. Ren Wongshuan remembered that even Baikeng High School only had 10 such spots. She was surprised that Ziying Cheng's school actually had a spot. Ren Wongshuan was quite taken aback. "I understand, Miss Liu. Stay a bit later after school. There's a training session targeted at those of you who can compete for the spot. That's it, you can go back," Lu Lingxi said with a smile, sending her off. Lu Lingxi was not only the homeroom teacher of Class 15, but also taught Chinese to 3 classes, concurrently holding the position of grade director. She was in charge of all the significant issues of the senior year. "Miss Liu, I've placed the transfer student's test paper on your desk," the physics teacher reminded Lu Lingxi. Lu Lingxi quickly put on her glasses and picked up the exam paper. "Let me take a look." The first thing she noticed was the handwriting on the paper. This handwriting. Upon hearing this, Ren Wongshuan slowed her steps. So that test paper belonged to Bai Lian. The physics teacher, holding his teacup, said with a smile, 85 points. "The paper is simple. The score is a bit on the low side, but the fundamental knowledge is well learned." Ren Wongshuan paused at the door, a hint of mockery in her eyes. She closed the door, thinking nonchalantly, what a refined way the physics teacher phrased it. How is that a bit on the low side? In Ziying Cheng's initial exams, the science comprehensive is very simple, consisting entirely of basic questions, with a total score of 300 points, and in their class. There's no one below 150. In the office, however, Lu Lingxi was quite surprised. 85, that's also enough, Lu Lingxi said, holding the exam paper and smiling. "You don't know, but Bai Lian switched from liberal arts to science. I thought if she could score 50, I wouldn't persuade her to go back to arts." She didn't have high expectations for Bai Lian, especially since she had switched from literature to science. She hadn't expected Bai Lian to score as high as 200. Lu Lingxi wasn't pursuing graduation rates either. Academic transition from humanities to science. No wonder the handwriting is so neat. It's even better looking than print. The physics teacher had just been preparing for class and hadn't heard the conversation between Lu Lingxi and Bai Lian. It looks even more pleasant than Ren Wongshuan's test papers. He also found it strange that the transfer student had switched from humanities to science. Although the test itself was simple, covering mostly basic knowledge, and she didn't do many of the major questions. In fact, whenever she did answer, everything was correct, especially in physics. She used authentic Guanzhi style. As a language arts teacher, Lu Lingxi did consider her to be a good student, with handwriting so well behaved. In the past, scholars who took the imperial examinations would use this type of font. Previous top scholars knew several styles of calligraphy, but would all use Guanzhi style during the palace examination. Lu Lingxi had never considered that Bai Lian knew several styles of handwriting. Nowadays, it was remarkable for young kids to learn even one style properly. But now, very few people learn Guanzhi style anymore, as they prefer Liang style. "Lu teacher, don't worry too much." The physics teacher unscrewed the teacup. "Since she wants to study science, she'll definitely be diligent. Don't look at her score of just 85 now. I see that she's not completely lacking in insight. Just you watch, by next year's college entrance exam, she should be able to raise her score to 170, and with some effort, reaching the second tier of universities is quite possible." He decided to pay more attention to this transfer student. Of course, they did not know. Making the transition from humanities to science, scoring 85 on a test of moderate difficulty, indeed also indicated some talent. In their minds, the biggest challenge for Bai Lian would just be the transition from humanities to science, as it was already difficult enough to score well legitimately, let alone considering that these 85 points were entirely the result of 5 days of study by Bai Lian. And as for the many questions she hadn't answered, it was simply because she hadn't started learning that material yet. Bai Lian, relying on her own efforts, had carved out a territory for herself on the Ziying Cheng Middle School forum. Today, of 10 posts on the #1 middle school's board, 8 are about Bai Lian, the Empress. Bai Lian herself was not aware of these discussions. Although she was good-looking, she emanated an aura that made her difficult to approach. Like her desk-mate Yang Lin, she was either reading or solving problems, appearing very much like a top student. Carrying the aura of a top student naturally, other students didn't dare to strike up a conversation. After school in the afternoon, Bai Lian had just been measured for size. Her school uniform would not be issued for another 2 days. Among the sea of uniforms, she was the only one in her own clothes, a bit taller than the average girl, clean and strikingly beautiful, standing out like a crane amongst chickens. Jiang He was squatting on the street corner opposite, and he spotted Bai Lian, shining brightly amidst the crowd, in a glance. "Why are you alone?" Bai Lian didn't see the others who had been following Jiang He around, so she took him to the milk tea shop around the corner. "My brother is picking me up later." The milk tea shop was crowded just after school let out, but they waited a few minutes for people to leave. Bai Lian found a quiet table and sat down with Jiang He. "Bai student," the clerk served Bai Lian 2 cups of cherry fruit tea. "Your milk tea is ready, straws are on the left, help yourself." Bai Lian recognized that this was her desk mate, Yang Lin. Bai Lian looked at the milk tea, which clearly had more fruit pieces than others, and smiled with her eyes, the expression shining and vibrant. "Thank you." She took out 2 straws, while Yu Guang noticed that Yang Lin's exposed arm seemed to have a purple bruise. "What's that?" Bai Lian took her eyes off it and went back to handing Jiang He his milk tea. The other person took out a colorful spherical object. Jiang He took a sip lightly. A 7-layered, 5-colored magic cube. He had already managed to restore the center colors, but was not familiar with the rest. Last night, after watching Jiang Fuelai's speed cubing restoration formulas, he was trying hard to replicate them. Bai Lian opened her backpack and took out a large lump, having never seen a Rubik's Cube before. "Are you restoring the colors of this sphere?" Jiang He nodded, discontent with his own speed. "My brother can solve it very quickly, but I need 2 hours. A guy who had just come in with a basketball spat out his lemon tea. "No way, little bro." The guy spun on his foot and turned sideways, wearing the school uniform, his features handsome and sunny, and kindly suggested to him in a heartfelt tone, "Don't talk about it so calmly. Have some sympathy for the average high school student." Jiang He glanced at him and said nothing. "Boy, what look?" "Hey!" The boy got choked up for a moment, but then greeted Bai Lian, introducing himself. "Bai classmate, I am your..." "Zhang Shai's." Bai Lian recognized him. He was the guy who sat behind her. She had remembered everyone who introduced themselves to her. Zhang Shai scratched his head. "Oh, so you did hear us talking. Luma said that if you ever need anything, just ask me. I'm the sports committee member." They called Lu Lingxi Luma in their class. As Zhang Shai's was talking, he saw the object that Bai Lian took out. It looked like a motor. Bai Lian inserted the straw with one hand and played with the coils of the motor with the other. "What's wrong?" Zhang Shai's. "Who carries this kind of stuff in their backpack?" He said goodbye to Bai Lian with an incredulous face and left the milk tea shop. The group of boys waiting for him outside asked if he got the new transfer student's contact info, implying that the new student was so pretty that they could only admire her from afar. "I'll ask tomorrow." Zhang Shai's put his arm around his buddy's shoulder, exclaiming with a sense of brotherhood, "With you guys in the world, I can rest easy." The brothers were just about to be moved. Zhang Shai's. "Hee, it's great to have more than one useless person." As darkness gradually fell at the school gate, students who had been staying late for the honor student training had just finished their classes. Ren Wangshuan was picked up and dropped off by a personal driver every day. She was on the phone with the driver. "I've finished my tutoring class. Come too?" Her eyes caught sight of a girl sitting under the streetlight at the corner of the crossroad, apparently waiting for something. How come she kept running into Bai Lian at this huge school? Could it really be such a coincidence? Ren Wangshuan suddenly felt an irritation. Observing the other's silhouette, she pondered for a while and then instructed her driver, "Take the car to the back gate. I'll wait for you there." "What's wrong?" the boy next to her asked her. "Nothing." Ren Wangshuan shook her head, not wanting to mention Bai Lian at all. "Let's go to the back gate." She turned coldly, re-entering through the school gate. The boy, after a thoughtful nod, glanced faintly at the corner of the crossroad and said, "Then I'll have my driver wait for me at the back gate as well." Meanwhile, at the crossroad, "When is your brother coming?" Bai Lian sat beside Jiang He by the roadside, watching the passing traffic. The streetlights lit up one by one. Jiang He reluctantly lit up his watch. Another 10 minutes. Okay. Bai Lian leaned lazily against the lamppost, taking out the coils again to play with. When Jiang Fulai came to pick up Jiang He, what he saw was this scene. The girl sat casually by the roadside. Her ink-black hair was casually held up by a brown wooden hairpin. She elegantly manipulated the motor in her hands, making the rough motor seem more like a piece of art. Her facial features were strikingly attractive, and her droopy eyes conveyed a lazy demeanor. For a moment, it was as if the moonlight too favored her, casting a hazy glow as if moisturized by the moon's radiance. Suddenly, he thought of a phrase, tender yet lethal. Dusk descended on the long street, which monopolized 7 shades of the moonlight. I kept you waiting. Jiang Fulai came back to his senses. He suppressed his gaze and introduced himself to Bai Lian. Hello, Bai Lian. I am Jiang He's brother, Jiang Fulai. He stepped out of the car enveloped in a cold frost, his voice slightly lowered, naturally chilly. Bai Lian looked up and inadvertently collided with a pair of light-colored eyes that reflected no light like a cold pool. Deep and cold. She glanced at Jiang Fulai, who wore a black shirt. His face was stunningly cold, his slightly lighter hair blending with the light. Their first gaze, or perhaps another glance. It was surely quiet and lonely, yet it felt deafening. After a moment, Bai Lian slowly spoke. Give me a reason not to shark, you. Jiang Fulai rarely showed his true emotions in front of others. This was the first time he was caught off guard in public. Jiang He looked up, contemptuous. Her name is Bai Lian. Jiang Fulai. Firstly, do you want to see what you noted down? Sorry, realizing what had happened, Jiang Fulai lightly chuckled. A rare smile tinged his usually indifferent and ice-cold phoenix eyes. Jiang He is sensitive to numbers, but he never went to kindergarten, so... He paused, then simply assessed. He is semi-illiterate. Bai Lian swept a cold glance toward Jiang He. Jiang He, who had an autism spectrum disorder and exhibited extraordinary intelligence only in numbers and geometry. Expressionless, he withdrew his gaze and fluidly covered his wristwatch. Is that from a fan you dismantled? Jiang Fulai's other hand held a book, rolled up like a tube, as he squatted beside Bai Lian and casually took her electric motor, looking down with serious attention. It's probably a capacitor issue. Use a multimeter to check which wire has no resistance and fix it. It was a hand like an artwork, with the glossy white of jade, long joints, and lines that flowed between proportion and smoothness, exuding a faint, crisp air. Multimeter. Bai Lian withdrew her death stare from Jiang He and rested her chin on her knees, tilting her head lazily. I thought about buying one, but my grandfather wouldn't let me dismantle the house. I stole this one from his room. There was no other emotion on her face, her black pupils reflecting the streetlight above, lazy and beautiful. She just wanted to stealthily dismantle an electric fan. One could imagine her cutely stealing and dismantling her family's things, and perhaps the elder would helplessly indulge her, turning a blind eye. I have one. I'll bring it to you in a few days. The mere thought of the scene made Jiang Fulai feel like a big cat was stretching out lazily to scratch him. I have a physics lab. It's well equipped for experiments, very convenient. Jiang He rarely felt close to people, even going silent for 7 days at a time. Bai Lian was a peculiar existence to Jiang He. Now seeing her in the flesh, he thought he might understand why Jiang He wanted to go home with her. Bai Lian blinked. A large lab, there must be a particle collider there. The glances from the people around grew more intense. Jiang Fulai casually picked up Jiang He by his collar and stood up. Get in the car first. I'll drive you home. There were few streetlights on Purist Street. Bai Lian had Jiang Fulai's car stop at the intersection. This is the book you wanted. Jiang Fulai got out of the car with her and handed her the book in his hand. In the twilight, his eyes and brows seemed to soften as if steeped in ice and snow. Physics is not difficult, it's interesting. You can ask me if you have any questions. Thank you. Bai Lian took the book. This was a book that she couldn't find anywhere. I should be thanking you. Jiang Fulai looked towards Jiang He and said softly, Jiang He always thinks he's an alien, wanting to return to his own planet. You're his first human friend. But Bai Lian simply said, he's cute. Jiang Fulai turned to look at her for a moment and chuckled lightly. Yeah. Bai Lian waved at him and left. Jiang Fulai watched her enter a small store, with a police patrol not far away. His slightly furrowed brow relaxed a little as he got back into the car. This place hasn't been demolished. Ming Dingheng sat in the driver's seat, surprised at the sight of the low and somewhat aged buildings. Right across from it is Bachter Street, where my master is. Bachter Street was where Ming Dingheng often went, a street at the border of two countries. He just hadn't expected that Bachter Street and Purist Street were only a kilometer apart, facing each other across the river. Jiang Fulai looked at the lone few streetlights, slowly rolling up the car window. Let's go back. Ming Dingheng drove off, and Jiang He leaned by the car window, watching Bai Lian. Jiang Fulai's fingertips lightly tapped the phone's screen, and in the dark night, his brows and eyes seemed to be coated with a faint layer of cold frost. After a while, he lit up the screen to send a message, go to the storeroom and find my physics notes. The convenience store. 2 patrol officers came to buy 2 bottles of water and chatted with the store manager as if they were catching up on family news. The store manager answered, puzzled. Today, before leaving, Bai Lian had asked the store manager to bring her some electric cables. The manager handed them to her, along with a lollipop, covering the QR code and refusing to let her transfer the money. Hurry back home, it's already dark. Oh, Bai Lian put away the cables. The patrol officers didn't find out anything and left to finish their shift. Once they were gone, a neighbor dared to come over. What did you do? Went across the river to steal something? Why are the police always watching you? But I am a law-abiding citizen. The store manager opened his mouth in grievance. He was also confused. I can't figure out what I've done wrong. Sucking on the lollipop, Bai Lian lowered her pretty eyes and walked innocently into the alley. Just reaching the entrance of the alley, she saw the old man waiting there. It was Jai Heng. Bai Lian hesitated, then quickened her pace. Jai Heng held a flashlight, only turning it on when he saw her, lighting the pitch-dark alley to guide her home. You can't rush your studies, take it slow. Purist Street had streetlights, but the inner alleys did not. Only the dim yellow light from the homes occasionally flickered. I won't! Bai Lian took out her earphones, ready to listen to English vocabulary words and rejecting the suggestion. Jai Heng. Seeing Bai Lian eyeing his flashlight, he warned, this can't be taken apart. Bai Lian's gaze was a bit elusive. Am I that kind of person? But I woke up this morning to find the corpse of my fan. Jai Heng ruthlessly exposed her. You just looked at the wrong time. Don't believe me. Check again in a few days. Bai Lian stubbornly retorted. Meanwhile, in Xiang Cheng's only villa district, the Ren family, Ren Kaiyan, as usual, inquired about Ren Wangshuan's studies and explained about Gao Jiachen's situation. Dr. Gao has not yet replied. You have to strive at school. Ren Wangshuan nodded, which would normally signal it was time to leave. But today, she hesitated. What's wrong? Ren Kaiyan was surprised. It's about the affairs of my dad's family. Ren Wangshuan shared the matter regarding Bai Lian with Ren Kaiyan. Hearing the full story, Ren Kaiyan put down the document in his hand, switching from arts to sciences. Don't listen to him. He has become increasingly muddled these past 2 years, not knowing the severity. Ren Kaiyan's expression chilled. He valued Ren Wangshuan's academic performance, naturally aware that she had scored a perfect 300 in the science composite. Doesn't he know how important your studies are? He hadn't yet met Bai Lian, but he already had a rather poor impression of her. For young people, it's important to be stable and pragmatic. Ren Wangshuan quickly started to rub Ren Kaiyan's shoulders. Don't be angry. Dad didn't mean to. You know him. He's only focused on his research. He doesn't even remember how old I am. For many years, indeed, the Jai family hadn't taken advantage of the Ren family to cause any trouble. But Ren Kaiyan was not concerned about the Jai family's affairs. He softened his tone, advising Ren Wangshuan. All right, don't worry about the Jai family's matters. Your father is not clear-headed, but you need to be clear about what is truly important. Next year is the college entrance exam. Don't get distracted by other things. After Ren Wangshuan exited, the Secretary General spoke up. Next year's college entrance exam, it's time for someone from Xiang Cheng to become the valedictorian. Miss Wangshuan stands a good chance. This class has fierce competition. Just competing with the Chen family in Xiancheng will be tough for her. Ren Kaiyan knew a bit of the inside story. He shook his head. Let's not talk about being the valedictorian of Baikeng. Let's focus on Xiancheng first. In their eyes, the biggest goal was to be the valedictorian of Baikeng. As for the national valedictorian, it was unthinkable. Which year had the national valedictorian not been from Jiangjing? How could it be someone from another place? This is the auction list from White Tiger Auction House for 1 week from now. The Secretary General remembered the official matter. This time there is an authentic piece by Liang Ziyuan. At that, Ren Kaiyan eagerly reached out for it. An authentic piece by Liang Ziyuan. Liang's style was one of the most popular scripts, not just favored by the common people, but also highly esteemed by the major families and great literati. Therefore, from a young age, Ren Kaiyan made Ren Wangshuan learn Liang's style. Clearly, Ren Wangshuan had made the right move. Ever since she was young, she had won many people's favor with her Liang-style handwriting. Authentic pieces by Liang Ziyuan were rare, with a known authentic piece residing in the private museum of the Chen family in Jiangjing. This genuine piece coming up for auction is bound to attract a crowd from all over the country. No one would doubt its authenticity. After all, it's the largest auction house in Asia, and nobody dares to cause trouble at an auction on Bachter Street. Find a way to get an invitation to the auction, Ren Kaiyan said. The next day, Bai Lian didn't linger in the library because Jiang Fulai had someone send her the multitester. She planned to go home and show her grandfather what bad timing really meant. Bus 12 came to a stop on Purist Street, and when Bai Lian got off with her black backpack, she saw a crowd gathered around the convenience store from a distance. As Bai Lian approached, the onlookers outside in white tank tops trembled with excitement. With a clatter, a cigarette fell to the ground. "Officer Zhang, ask them if I've broken any law," the middle-aged man in black attire said casually, exhaling a ring of smoke while pointing at a vendor selling chilled mung bean jelly. "Dare you say I've transgressed?" The vendor, in fear, shook his head as he picked up his knocked-over stall. No, I knocked it over myself." "Oh, is that so?" The middle-aged man took 2 more steps forward, pointing at someone selling hand-carved items. The person sat on the ground, frantically waving their hands in negation. He stepped on an embroidered shoe and finally stopped in front of Jai Heng. "How about you? Do you dare?" Jai Heng looked at the stall on the ground and shook his head. "See," the middle-aged man then leisurely turned to Officer Zhang, his voice arrogant. "I told you I haven't done anything, Officer Zhang. You wouldn't arrest a good person, would you?" "You!" Officer Zhang was about to take action, but was firmly restrained by a colleague. "Forget it, Officer Zhang." The colleague whispered in Officer Zhang's ear. "He must be Poison Scorpion." Officer Zhang calmed down. Poison Scorpion. One of the top 10 on their internal most wanted list, he frequently moves between Bachter Street and the international scene. Many of his men are ex-mercenaries, protected by a bar on Bachter Street, and even the FBI is said to be unable to touch him. His power was immense. Poison Scorpion had long anticipated this scenario. He looked at Officer Zhang with disdain, carelessly dropping his cigarette on the ground and stepping on it. "It seems, Officer Zhang, if you desire to catch me, you'll have to find another way." No one present dared to speak. Poison Scorpion then arrogantly left the convenience store with all the cigarettes and casually left Purist Street. Only after he had left did Officer Zhang silently helped the vendors straighten their stalls, whispering an apology to them. The people from the bar on Bachter Street, at the junction between 2 nations, those people, without evidence, Officer Zhang truly had no recourse. Even if the Chen family of Xiancheng was present today, they too would suffer silently. Bai Lian stood not far away, watching the scene with an unperturbed gaze. The man in the white tank top, feeling the chill of her gaze on his back, shivered and quickly set about helping the vendors pick up their goods. Clearly, he was also one of the formidable convention people. And seeing him lending a hand, Officer Zhang gave him a glance, his gaze then shifting to the store owner not far away. As the crowd slowly dispersed, such incidents were not uncommon on Purist Street. "Alien!" Jai Heng, having tidied up his belongings, saw Bai Lian standing at the street corner. The neighbors liked the trinkets made by Jai Heng, who would set up his stall every few days. Bai Lian usually studied late in the library, so this was the first time she saw him vending. Bai Lian answered calmly, taking Jai Heng's items from his hand. It's all right, grandfather's used to it. Jai Heng spoke more today than usual, holding a tobacco pipe. These things don't happen often. He's from the opposite side and doesn't come here often. You should be more careful when you go out. It's better for ordinary folks like us to avoid provoking them if we can. He comforted Bai Lian. Bai Lian hummed in agreement once more, but the chill in her pitch-black eyes grew colder. Jai Heng was at ease with her. 11 o'clock at night. The lights in Jai Heng's room went out, and in Bai Lian's room, she tightened the last screw on the electric fan. Then, taking her mobile phone, she quietly closed her room door behind her and left. Crossing the bridge at the end of Heiress Street, a street stretched out in front of her, resplendent with golden light. Although it was 10 o'clock at night, it was as bright as day. The entrance bore the name in 2 languages, Baxter Street. The man in the white tank top had been waiting here. He looked up to see the girl in the flowing moon-white dress, so out of place in this street. "Sis!" The man in the white tank top approached, handing Bai Lian a cigarette and lighting it for her. With a slender cigarette grasped between her fingers, Bai Lian appeared utterly nonchalant. As the flames sparked and smoke began to curl up, she lazily tilted her head. "Where is he?" Qinglong Bar. Near the bridge on Heiress Street, it spread out over a wide area. Poison Scorpion was the toughest enforcer at Qinglong Bar. His recklessness had earned him a big name on this street, and most were afraid of him, which meant few dared to cause trouble in the bar. He was just sitting in the lounge inside the bar, biting on a freshly lit cigarette. Bang! The door was flung open. Poison Scorpion glanced up nonchalantly, only to see a white tank top. He stood behind a young woman. "Yo, Mao Kun." He obviously recognized the man in the white tank top. He called him Mao Kun, but his tone lacked respect. Poison Scorpion stared straight at the girl behind him. "Are you here to pay tribute to me?" "Haha, don't worry, Mao Kun. I'll be sure to speak highly of you to your godfather." The man in the white tank top looked at him as if seeing a former version of himself. Bai Lian slowly approached. Bang! He, along with the stool, was kicked to the ground, and a bone in his chest broke. Poison Scorpion's eyes turned fierce as he endured the pain and scrambled up, throwing a fierce punch at Bai Lian's face. Bai Lian didn't even move her feet, simply raising her hand leisurely to catch his punch under his astonished gaze. The hem of her moon-white dress fluttered gently. Crack! The sound of finger joints breaking echoed. "You want to die?" With a bang, he was once again brutally smashed to the ground by Bai Lian. Poison Scorpion had never seen such a twisted scene before and looked at Bai Lian in terror. The borderlands between 2 countries were complex, and no one without some abilities could survive there. His skills were quite impressive. In fact, few people knew that even the FBI had been unable to handle him when he was notorious internationally, which was why the bar owner had taken notice of him. As Qinglong Bar's top enforcer, even the #1 fighter in the ring would have a hard time laying a hand on him. Poison Scorpion was breathing more out than in. He lay on the ground, unable to get up. "Have I offended you?" He was clever indeed. To be this arrogant and still alive for so long was because he had only offended nobodies. The girl in front of him, who could crush him as easily as pinching a steamed bun, was certainly no nobody. He had no idea how he had managed to provoke her. Bai Lian still had a slender cigarette pinched between her fingers, and the smoky haze swirled around her face. She walked unhurriedly to Poison Scorpion's side, wearing gray embroidered shoes with a faint footprint on them. The embroidery was of pink peonies, layered and sumptuous. With the shoe bearing the footprint, she stepped on Poison Scorpion's right hand and asked softly, "Is the embroidery nice?" So prim and proper. Poison Scorpion, who had been so arrogant before, now lay at Bai Lian's feet. Even as every breath caused pain in his chest, he still struggled to wipe the dust from her embroidered shoe. Smiling ingratiatingly, he looked up at her. "Good, very good. The embroidery is excellent." Bai Lian looked down, the shadows cast by her eyelashes hiding the tumult within her eyes. She lifted her foot. "Indeed, it's good." Bang! Another kick. She kicked Poison Scorpion hard in the chest. Poison Scorpion was slammed against the wall. Bai Lian leisurely straightened her sleeves. Withdrawing her gaze, she said coldly, "But it's gotten dirty." The man in the white tank top knelt beside Poison Scorpion, kindly reminding him, "You had to mess with her grandfather's business, of all things. And you even asked if the old man dared to. Do you think he dares? Remember to respect your elders and love the young." The bar was deafening with noise. A group of men in black waited at the doorway. The leader, seeing Poison Scorpion paralyzed and gasping against the wall, twitched his mouth. "God, you're asking a vicious man to respect the elderly and love the young." They looked at Bai Lian warily, then told the man in the white tank top, "Mao Kun, the boss wants you in the conference room." "I'll talk to my godfather." The man in the white tank top nodded casually. Bai Lian leaned against the bar, lazily tapping her fingers on the countertop. "Zaiabai." The man in the white tank top immediately stepped forward, pouring her a drink. "Sister, my surname is Mao." "Oh, Zaiamo," Bai Lian nodded sluggishly. "Thanks for today, but I don't drink. I'm heading back." "Sister, won't you stay a little longer?" Bai Lian took out a wooden hairpin, slowly gathered her hair, and her low, soft eyes were languorous. "No, I have class at 8 in the morning tomorrow." "Nyo-kun no Zaiamo." At his side, a younger brother seeing Bai Lian for the first time blushed. Zaiamo, upon seeing this, snapped at him, smacking his head hard. "What are you looking at? Huh, what are you staring at? Any ideas? You're getting stuff them back into your mother's womb." Heiress Street. The night was dark and the wind was high. Bai Lian took out her earphones to memorize English vocabulary. It was nearly 1 in the morning, and faint sounds of a scuffle were coming from the narrow, dark alley ahead. Ordinary people would have taken a Bai Lian wore her earphones, halfway through her vocabulary listening, when her phone rang. It was Mao Kun. She answered and calmly walked past them. There were 3 men with blonde hair and blue eyes. Because of the girl's excessive calm, they were clearly stunned for a moment. The next second, one of them came to his senses and reached out to grab Bai Lian's neck. Bai Lian tilted her head sideways, grasped the man's hand. "Sister," Mao Kun's voice came through. Bai Lian looked at the blue-eyed man, then glanced down at the person lying in the corner. "Wait a moment," she told Mao Kun, then stuffed her phone back into her pocket. Then she suddenly yanked the blue-eyed man in front of her. The breeze from her punch parted the strands of hair scattered on either side of her, revealing her cool gaze. Bai Lian didn't retreat. With her other hand balled into a fist, she powerfully slammed into another who tried to make a move on her. In less than 3 minutes, 3 men were lying at her feet. Only then did Bai Lian take her phone out of her pocket, leaning lazily against the wall. "Speak." "Ah." "Oh," Mao Kun, on the other end of the phone, wiped his face. "There's an auction here in a couple of days. Do you want to come play?" "No, thanks." Bai Lian hung up, her eyelashes drooping down. She put her earphones back on and dug out her English vocabulary list. "Hey!" The bloodied person lying in the corner spoke to her, shaking as he fetched a pack of cigarettes from his pocket and tried to find a cigarette to bite on. "Thank you. Can I have your contact information?" Bai Lian glanced down at him. His leg was still bleeding nonstop. Her gaze settled on the gold-framed calligraphy next to him. When the man saw her looking, he moved his right hand but inadvertently triggered a wound, causing him to hiss in pain. "Do you want this? It's an original by Liang Ziyuan. It's valuable but not as precious as I am. Take it if you want. As for other requests, I can manage anything as long as you don't ask to live on the moon." Bai Lian, unsure which word moved her, squatted down, flipped on her phone's flashlight, and shone it on the calligraphy beside the man. After a while, Bai Lian's gaze lazily fell on the man's continuously bleeding leg. She slightly lowered her head and reached out to fumble with the man's injured leg. "What are you doing?" The man was taken aback and quickly said, "It's a gunshot wound. My private doctor will be here any moment. Don't touch it randomly. I don't want to be crippled just yet." While he spoke, his leg suddenly stopped bleeding. Even the pain was greatly reduced. Only then did Bai Lian stand up, reopened her English vocabulary page, and started walking back. "Hey!" The man snapped out of it and saw that she hadn't taken the calligraphy. He couldn't help but call out to her, "Don't you want Liang Ziyuan's original work?" The girl who didn't pay him much attention stopped. The gentle moonlight bathed her as she finished memorizing a word before tilting her head. "Who told you this is an original?" The man was taken aback. "This has been authenticated by experts." The girl took her gaze back, disappearing around the corner. Her voice faded into the night, lonely and vague. "Have it authenticated again. That's his student's handwriting." 6 o'clock in the morning. Jai Heng's room. The moment he opened his eyes, he found himself face to face with a figure holding an electric fan. Jai Heng, Bai Lian. After 10 seconds of staring, someone was looking at him with a very righteous expression, as if asking, "Why did you wake up so early?" Very well. Jai Heng expressionlessly closed his eyes again. Only then did Bai Lian set the electric fan down. She made sure to plug it in. The fan that was previously broken now seemed eager to let everyone know it had been fixed by someone, whirring loudly as it began to spin. She considerately closed the door behind her as she left. Jai Heng opened his eyes again, looking at the window to the early morning sky, cool with an estimated temperature of about 22 degrees. Calmly, he reached out and pulled the half-draped blanket up to his neck. Xiancheng Middle School starts class at 8 in the morning. Most boarders arrive by 7. Bai Lian wasn't particularly late, arriving at 7:30. Her desk mate must have also arrived early, now clutching an English book and sitting in the front seat, memorizing. And her seat, Bai Lian yawned lazily as she walked up to her spot, tapped the desk and looked down. "Classmate, excuse me." The girl sitting in her seat instantly pulled a long face. Shush, the originally noisy classroom quieted down in an instant. Zhang Shi's, who had been napping on his desk, also lifted his head, bleary-eyed, and came to alertness at the situation. The curly-haired girl didn't even glance at Bai Lian. Noticing Zhang Shi's awake, her eyes lit up as she handed him a bag. "Zhang Shi's, I brought you breakfast." Meanwhile, Yang Lin gently tugged at Bai Lian's sleeve, gesturing with her eyes towards Bai Lian. Zhang Shi's never accepts anything from girls, but now he reached out to take the breakfast. Thank you, Chen Wei, you go ahead, class is about to start." The smile returned to Chen Wei's sullen face. "Then I'll come watch you play basketball tonight." Perhaps in a good mood, Chen Wei hummed a tune as she left class 15. As she passed by, both male and female students shrank their necks in unison. "New student, since you just arrived at our school, let me give you the rundown." The girl in front turned around and heaved a sigh of relief before speaking to Bai Lian. That was Chen Wei from the second year. "Of course, mentioning that might not mean much to you. You know about the school heartthrobs, right? Besides that idiot Zhang Shi's, there's another guy called Chen Zhu. Chen Wei is Chen Zhu's little sister. Chen Zhu is in the elite class 8 of the 3rd year. Got it? The ones who usually hang out with her are the likes of Chen Zhu and Ren Wangshuan." Bai Lian, "Thank you. So annoying, I want to erase her. In any case, we commoners should avoid provoking anyone from the elite class if we can. Eggs can't compete with stones," the girl finished, then glanced towards Yang Lin and Zhang Shi's. "Right, you too. The most important thing is that Chen Zhu and Ren Wangshuan are both hot contenders for the top scholar title of our graduating year in Baikeng." Yang Lin said, settling into her seat, and after a thought, she added softly, "Try not to offend them." "That's true," Zhang Shi's grumbled discontentedly. "But why did you have to call me, a cheerful and pure-hearted 19-year-old guy, an idiot?" No one paid attention to him. Zhang Shi's then draped an arm around his deskmate's shoulder. "What do you think, top student?" Ning Xiao looked up and gave him a be-quiet look. Bai Lian propped her chin with a hand, lazily flipping open her English textbook. Zhang Shi's touched his nose and took out his phone to add her as a friend. Today is Friday, after school in the evening. Yang Lin and Bai Lian walked out of the school gates together, with Bai Lian wearing headphones and listening to vocabulary words. They walked to the flower shop at the end of the street. The middle-aged woman selling flowers was enthusiastically wrapping a bouquet for a customer, but when she saw Yang Lin, she squinted and smiled gently. "Your flowers are on the table. I've set them aside for you." While reciting vocabulary, Bai Lian looked over and saw a beautiful white lily on the table. Yang Lin picked up the flower and placed the money on the table. The middle-aged woman finished wrapping the bouquet and, seeing this exchange, shook her head helplessly and then asked, What about that boy Zhang Shi's? He's playing basketball. Always off playing basketball. Why can't he be more like you and Ning Xiao? Zhang's mother muttered her complaints, then turned to look at Bai Lian. Ah, this must be the transfer student in your class. Such a pretty young girl. She pulled out a red rose and gave it to Bai Lian. She definitely seems much better behaved than my troublesome son. Bai Lian accepted it. Thank you, Auntie. Ah, Zhang's mother clutched her chest. Elle knew it, I should have had a daughter. That darned Zhang Shi's can only manage to kill my orchids. Don't be mad, don't be mad. The middle-aged man who had just come back from outside put down his computer bag and continuously consoled her. Tonight, we'll pretend to fight and isolate ourselves in our room, making him do all the household chores for a week. Carrying a rose, Bai Lian took separate ways from Yang Lin at the intersection. Following the address given by Jianghe, she arrived at the wealthy district of Xiancheng. The public bus only went as far as the road on the outer perimeter. Ren Wangshuan hadn't attended today's top student training because there were important guests coming to her house, and Ren Kaiyan had notified her in advance. As she passed by the periphery of the wealthy district, her gaze caught a person not far off. Stop the car! The boy in the front seat casually glanced at the rearview mirror. What's wrong? Ren Wangshuan shook her head without saying a word. Swoosh, the car stopped in front of Bai Lian. The window rolled down, revealing Ren Wangshuan's face brimming with irritation. She looked at Bai Lian with a mocking expression as if she had already seen through her. What are you waiting for here? Bai Lian held her cell phone and sent a message telling Jianghe not to hurry. She was still in a moon-white long dress, her eyes clear and tranquil, reciting vocabulary in a calm and unruffled manner. Upon hearing a voice, she looked up, waiting for your ancestor. No matter whether it was at school, at the Ren family home, or anywhere else, Ren Wangshuan was always the center of attention, always pampered and worshipped by everyone. Even Chen Wei had to make some superficial effort in front of her. As for the Jai family, even though she was very polite to Jai Heng, deep down she still looked down on the Jai family members. Ren Wangshuan looked at the long dress on Bai Lian, plain and unadorned, without any logo, clearly something made casually by Jai Heng. In her eyes, Bai Lian was indeed the least noticeable among them. When encountering her, one should at least be cautious and respectful, not so arrogant. But she didn't expect that someone she least cared about would speak to her so rudely. The driver in the car couldn't help but take another look at Bai Lian, and Ren Wangshuan noticed that the boys nearby were also looking their way. She was shocked that Bai Lian dared to speak to her like that. What? What are you talking about? Can't hear clearly. Bai Lian, looking at the next word, said indifferently, Then I can carve it on your tombstone. The driver wished he could cover his ears, trying hard to pretend he didn't hear anything. But Ren Wangshuan, with her sense of entitlement, didn't get out of the car, only haughtily rolled down the window, so everyone in the car could hear Bai Lian's words. Even if the driver showed no reaction, Ren Wangshuan still felt that everything about her was being challenged by Bai Lian at this moment. You! She was rendered speechless by the retort, and only managed to pull at her lips before angrily rolling up the window and demanding, Aren't we leaving yet? The car started. The boy in the front seat glanced at Bai Lian by the roadside through the rearview mirror. The look was as if he were observing a leaf, only for a moment before he withdrew his gaze. You know her. Ren Wangshuan's voice was cold with disdain. Who knows which relative from the Jai family that is? She didn't understand how Bai Lian could be so entitled when she was merely living in a slum that hadn't been developed yet, one that still used well water. Chen Zhu nodded, uninterested, and didn't ask any further. The car drove on for a while when another black car slowly approached. Chen Zhu, who had been sitting relaxed, straightened up, his gaze fixed on the rearview mirror, watching the black car grow more distant, until it disappeared. As dusk approached, the black car that vanished in the rearview mirror seemed to grow more mysterious. In the back seat, Ren Wangshuan had temporarily forgotten about Bai Lian, watching the direction the black car had disappeared in, and asked softly, Was that the people my grandfather mentioned? Although in her final year of high school and focused on her studies, it didn't mean she wasn't aware of other matters. She knew about the recent changes in Xiancheng. They had always thought that the manner behind them, which had been vacant, belonged to the government. Now that it had been occupied, the major families of Xiancheng had all received a clear message not to disturb it. Chen Zhu only casually said, "I've never seen that make of car." The one who came to pick up Bai Lian was Ming Dingheng. Bai Lian had been memorizing words all the way, and when she arrived at the entrance of the manor, she saw Jiang He squatting at the door, eagerly waiting. The man in the gray suit waiting in the garden, seeing the carefree and lazy girl behind Jiang He, was quite surprised. Then he watched as Jiang He walked to the adjacent laboratory, adeptly keyed in the password, and entered. "Mr. Ming, who is that?" The man turned to Ming Dingheng, inquiring about the girl's identity. Ming Dingheng only warned, "Don't overstep." Chen Wei felt a chill down his back and remembered who resided in this place, no longer daring to ask any more. He secretly committed to memory the fleeting glimpse of the girl's face. With that striking face, he definitely wouldn't forget her if he saw her again. The laboratory. Most of the devices there were unfamiliar to Bai Lian, and Jiang He took her to a small table to show her a miniature perpetual motion machine on it. A metal sphere the size of a soybean slid down through the hole on the top layer into a track, then bounced back up. Both squatted on the spot, staring intently at it for 10 minutes. "According to the law of conservation of energy," Bai Lian concluded, "this is a fake perpetual motion machine." As she spoke, she flipped over the base and indeed saw magnets underneath. Jiang He nodded, and then secretly told Bai Lian, "Uncle Ming has always thought it was a perpetual motion machine." There were many instruments in the laboratory, but Bai Lian and Jiang He only looked at the toroidal collider. Jiang He squatted on one side and tried several times with Bai Lian, continuously adding fluid. Bai Lian always recorded the data. She and Jiang He finally succeeded once, and after glancing at the numbers on both sides, she recorded more data on paper. After she finished, Jiang He leaned on the table and looked at the vortex machine. "How come it still isn't broken?" Bai Lian set the paper aside, tilted her head to look, and found it hard to disagree. Outside, when Jiang Fulai returned, it was already dark. "Young Master Jiang," Chief Chen followed him into the house respectfully. Jiang Fulai took off his coat and with a quick glance, noticed a black backpack, a mobile phone, and a rose on the rosewood table. "Ming Dingheng, those are Miss Bai's belongings." Jiang Fulai hummed calmly, his long eyelashes drooping slightly, shading the excessively cold look in his eyes. "Are they still in the laboratory?" Like this, there should be many lining up at school to give her flowers. What are high school seniors doing not studying properly, giving roses to others? Truly not reserved. Young Master Jiang gave his polite assessment. "Have them come out to eat," Jiang Fulai instructed, his facial expression uninvolved. When Bai Lian came out, Jiang Fulai was speaking with Chief Chen. Chief Chen clearly appeared somewhat restrained, his hands resting on his knees as he sat with his legs together. It must be personal revenge, this side of Xiancheng. He caught sight of Bai Lian entering from outside, paused, and didn't know whether to continue. Jiang Fulai tapped his fingertips lazily on the table, glanced at him. "Continue." "Oh," Chief Chen quickly resumed. "Elle came here to tidy up the security. Poison Scorpion is my top priority, but the day I arrived, someone sought revenge on him." Ming Dingheng couldn't resist commenting expressionlessly. "Such a coincidence. You sure you didn't have a hand in it?" "How could Elle?" Chief Chen was quite agitated. "If I had that ability, would I need to be sent here for further training?" Ming Dingheng suddenly understood. Chief Chen. Ever since ancient times, Xiancheng has always had difficult problems. This time Jiang Fulai came to Xiancheng. Jiangjing decided to give Xiancheng a thorough cleanup. Chen Zhu was a relatively outstanding descendant of the Jiangjing Chen family, and he secured the opportunity to come to Xiancheng out of a host of people. In ancient times, he would have been a special envoy with an imperial mandate, make a mark here with political achievements, and return to be promoted and advance in ranks. But right after his arrival, someone conveniently handed him a merit. Chief Chen really felt Xiancheng was his lucky place. "No suspects." Jiang Fulai rolled up his sleeves twice, casually poured 2 cups of tea, and pushed one each to Bai Lian and Jiang He. Jiang He stared at the cup as if it were poisoned. Chief Chen spoke with a serious expression. "There's one. the boss of Purist Street number 112. I've already deployed extra personnel to keep watch over him. Is there no mistake? Ming Dingheng remembered Purist Street and expressed doubt. Could it be that he's not in trouble for messing with Dawson's Cake or offending the mercenary mafia? Don't know, but I have top secret information. Chief Chen lowered his voice. It said that Poison Scorpion took 2 cigarettes from the boss. Although he found it ridiculous, Zion Cheng had listed a pile of evidence. Otherwise, how could the boss have his cigarettes taken in the evening and be destroyed the same night? At the side, Bai Lian held her teacup and took a light sip. Upon hearing the voice, she put down the teacup, lowered her dark eyes, her jade-like fingers touching the edge of the rosewood table, her expression lazily concurring with Chief Chen. That man is really bad. Only then did Chief Chen dare to look at her. The young lady didn't seem to be much of a presence, and Chief Chen softened his tone, comforting her with a kind voice. Don't worry, the bad guy has already received some punishment. Don't be afraid. That's good. Bai Lian finished her tea. She picked up her backpack and bid farewell to Jiang Fulai and the others. Jiang He tugged at her sleeve. Bai Lian's eyes drooped lightly, and she gave him a sideways glance. I'm going home to have dinner with my grandfather. A few streets away at the Ren families. The Ren family and a group of people from the Chen family waited properly. Chief Chen, when can he arrive? Ren Kaiyan looked at the middle-aged man beside him. Though anxious, he remained very polite to Chief Chen. The man referred to as Chief Chen was Chen Gang of the GDP powerhouse Chen family from Xiancheng. He was eyeing his watch. He should be arriving soon. As he was speaking, someone from outside came in with happy news. Chen Lord has arrived. Ren Kaiyan and Chen Gang both stood up swiftly to welcome the guest at the entrance. Ren Wangshuan and Chen Zhu also got up, exchanging glances. Chen Lord, Chen Gang, accompanied by Ren Kaiyan, respectfully ushered the person in, and then introduced Ren Kaiyan. This is Xiancheng's current highest administrator, the elderly Mr. Ren Kaiyan. If Bai Lian were here, she would recognize this man as the Chief Chen she had just met. Director Chen casually took a seat by the dining table. He was likely in his 30s or 40s, with a stern expression that rarely broke into a smile. Resting one hand on the table, he looked toward Ren Kaiyan. Mr. Ren, I'm afraid I'll be imposing on you with my visit this time. Please do take good care of me. Although he smiled, Ren Kaiyan's heart was truly shocked. There had long been rumors in Xiancheng that Chen family was a side branch of that Chen family in Jiangjing, but Ren Kaiyan had his doubts. Not until recently, when a secret order suddenly descended on Xiancheng. A certain Director Chen would be sent from Jiangjing to oversee Xiancheng. The sudden deployment left Ren Kaiyan at a loss until Chen Gang arrived with the news of Director Chen's arrival. Elle heard that there's an authentic piece by Liang Ziyuan at the auction house. Director Chen took the wine Ren Kaiyan poured for him and said indifferently, this was another task given to Director Chen by the Chen family in Jiangjing. Indeed, but the auction house issued a notice in the past few days, Ren Kaiyan explained. Rumors suggest the handwriting may not be his own. Director Chen frowned. Ren Kaiyan felt a flutter of anxiety. However, it is indeed authentic. It appears to be notes from one of his disciples. The auction house has already engaged an appraisal expert. The appraisal is still ongoing, so the auction has been postponed by 5 days. Really? Director Chen sat up straight. The appraisal is still underway. Beside him, Chen Gang quickly added, I will keep a close eye on this matter. As everyone knows, Liang Ziyuan, the illustrious prime minister from ancient times, in his life took only 2 disciples besides Emperor Jiang Wen, and they were the exceptionally talented siblings from the Bai family. Emperor Jiang Wen naturally wouldn't use the same handwriting as Elder Liang. Thus, if it was someone else's, it could only be one of the siblings from the Bai family. It seems that not all unofficial histories are groundless. The Chen family in Jiangjing, untouchable and revered through the ages, has always been a staunch fan of the Bai family. The majority of the private museum's collection belongs to the Bai family, and generation after generation, the Chen family reverently enshrines the Bai family's ancestral tablets. For the Chen family, this was more attractive than an authentic piece by Liang Ziyuan. Ren Kaiyan only exchanged a glance with the Secretary General. Clearly, they had to find a way to get an invitation to the White Tiger auction house. Meanwhile, Ming Dingheng watched with unease as the bus wobbled away. He was tempted to follow the bus in his car, but Bai Lian wouldn't allow it. He had no choice but to wait for her to get on the bus before driving back to the manor. Jiang Fulai was dining with Jiang He at the table, both of them speaking seldom, as they always did during meals. Silence and tranquility reigned. Ming Dingheng sat down and began to eat slowly as well. Setting his bowl down, Jiang Fulai suddenly remembered something. Who sent over the tea? Everything delivered here was handpicked by Su Nanjing. Ming Dingheng swallowed a mouthful of food. Su Nanjing. Jiang Fulai drew a disinfectant tissue, meticulously wiped his hands clean while looking at his lap, his tone casual. From now on, everything follows this standard. Ming Dingheng nodded. Jiang Fulai stood up, taking the documents on the table with him to the laboratory. The experiment on dark matter had a long schedule, and he had recreated his Jiangjing laboratory in Xiangcheng in its entirety, which is why there was a corner reserved for Jiang He's stuff. A table no taller than 70 centimeters, a stool merely 20 centimeters, even the experimental apparatus were a size smaller. Jiang Fulai walked up to the long laboratory bench, about to place his own documents down, when he caught sight of a piece of paper not far away. His laboratory was always clean and tidy. This paper must have been left by the other two. He approached, casually picking up the paper. There were 7 sets of data from top to bottom. He was initially just curious about what the other two had been up to until his eyes fell on the 4th set. He froze. A few digits were written casually. They flowed from the hand as if in one breath, the strokes revealing a hidden sharpness. Jiang Fulai stared at the characters for a moment before continuing to look at the data. If the first 3 sets of data were chaotic, a pattern could be discerned starting from the 4th set. Jiang Fulai immediately recognized it as data from vortex ring collisions. He wasn't very interested in fluid dynamics, so he scanned the data quickly and then took out his phone to take a picture. He sent it to someone, member of the Ma Institute. I'll need to calculate 5,000 Gaussian Bose samples. I don't have time. Member of the Ma Institute. Of course, if you're willing to switch to quantum mechanics, I think I might find some time. Clearly, the other party didn't look at the content carefully. The reply was quite heartless. Jiang Fulai was not in a hurry. 10 minutes later, the phone rang. Jiang Fulai's eyes were faint. He wore half-frame glasses on the bridge of his nose, and there were no chairs for resting in the lab, nor was the experimental table suitable for sitting operations. He leaned on the desk with one hand, while the other held a mouse, bending over to carefully plot the mass and interaction graph of WIMPs he didn't answer. The phone stopped for a while, then ringed again quickly. Jiang Fulai reached out, picked up the phone, and pressed the answer button. Elle had a feeling they were up to no good, entrusting the kid to you. You're barely self-sufficient. How are you going to care for Jiang He? Came the voice of the member of the Ma Institute, with his teammates discussing something in the background. He was always direct with Jiang Fulai, and after a brief pause, suggested, "How about this? You hand Jiang He over to me, and I'll raise him on your behalf." The member of the Ma Institute knew who was with Jiang Fulai, so he guessed that the data came from Jiang He. It's a set of data Jiang He and his friend worked on. They are very sensitive to data, Jiang Fulai said with a slight droop in his phoenix eyes. His depth in fluid dynamics wasn't profound, but a person's talent and spirit can't be hidden. Therefore, he did not think Jiang He and Bai Lian had a superficial understanding of physics. After all, even the mathematical genius Maxwell faced indifference when he shifted to physics, trying to study electricity and magnetism, and the physical giants of that era did not care about Maxwell either. On the phone, Jiangjing University. The member of the Ma Institute hung up, holding onto the data and thinking about it as he left the office. While going downstairs, he instructed his assistant, "We're aiming to match the school in Xiangcheng this year, right? Help me look someone up." The assistant noted it down in the schedule. Almost everyone in the school knew the member of the Ma Institute. Upon seeing him leave the office, a boy passing by the lab building couldn't help his excitement and took a photo, then grabbing his friend's arm, unable to contain himself. "Shao Qi, that's the member of the Ma Institute. Did you see? My teacher once had the privilege of being in his team. Bai Lian had just gotten off the bus when she saw Mao Kun squatting at the bus stop waiting for her. Upon seeing her, Mao Kun immediately stomped out his cigarette. Then he picked up the cigarette butt and threw it into the trash can. "Sis," Mao Kun offered her an invitation with eager courtesy. "Sis, this is an invitation from the White Tiger auction house." "I'm not going." "Godfather said it's yours once he gives it to you. You can sell it if you don't want it." Mao Kun scratched his head. "It's going for a good price on the black market right now." "Then you help me put it up on the black market." Bai Lian reached out, took the red invitation with a white tiger printed on its cover, and casually put it into her backpack. "Okay, sis." The two of them went to a convenience store one after another. Bai Lian grabbed a bottle of water, scanned the QR code to pay, and then went back. Whereas Mao Kun, seeing that Bai Lian called the store owner uncle, caught on quickly, bought a pack of cigarettes, and also helped the owner move the piled goods back into the store. Bai Lian had a pleasant time reading and studying in the library with Jiang He on Saturday. Sunday, Jiang He sat listlessly alone on the carpet. He fiddled with a Rubik's Cube in his hands slowly. Jiang Filai came downstairs, fastening the buttons at his collar with one hand, holding his laptop in the other, and walked slowly over to Jiang He. Looking down, his posture was somewhat lazy. His voice, however, was calm. "Not changed clothes." Normally, Jiang He would have been heading to the library that day. Jiang He ignored him. Jiang Filai finished buttoning up, placed his laptop on the table beside him, and asked calmly, "Do you know when my vortex ring machine might break down?" "Sister Bai has gone to Baikeng to transfer her hukou." Jiang He looked up and spoke slowly. "Baikeng," Jiang Filai nodded. He then reached out, took the Rubik's Cube from Jiang He's hands, which was twisted halfway through difficulty, quickly solved it, and handed it back to Jiang He. "So clumsy," he said politely, then put on his mask, picked up his laptop, and left. Ming Dingheng stood in place, his face expressionless as he watched. Jiang He. He frustratedly scrambled the Rubik's Cube again, opened his watch, and sent a message to Bai Lian. Text: Bai Lian had already boarded the train, and her household registration transfer certificate for Xiangcheng had been processed. The certificate for moving out still needed to be arranged in Baikeng. Baikeng was far away, and Xiangcheng only had a train service, so a round trip took a whole day. As household registration had to be done on a workday, she went a day early and planned to return directly after getting the certificate the next morning. Jai Shaojun went with her, and the two of them sat together. The train ride was nearly 12 hours long, and Bai Lian had brought a physics question bank in advance. She buried herself in the questions as soon as she got on the train. A middle-aged couple and an elderly person sat opposite them, who, upon seeing Bai Lian working on her problems, spoke in hushed tones and deliberately lowered their voice when occasionally conversing with Jai Shaojun. Jai Shaojun watched as the three passengers opposite handed Bai Lian a bunch of fruit and some biscuits. Then he looked at the focused Bai Lian solving problems. During the 12-hour train ride, even Jai Shaojun couldn't help feeling a sore back and stiff waist. He had thought that being pampered from an early age, Bai Lian would find it more difficult to endure, but to his surprise, she remained upright and attentive, maintaining her studying posture throughout the journey. The train's signal was poor, and Bai Lian was concentrating on her questions. By the time she saw Jiang He's message, it had already been 2 hours. "Illiterate. Text by Jian. I've seen it." By Jian. Imagey Jiang He opened it and looked, knowing the result but not the principle. He then forwarded it to Jiang Filai. Jiang Filai was still in the underground laboratory, holding a tablet and returning to the computer, its fluorescent light reflecting his expressionless face, cold and piercing. The group of trainees beside him tried their best to pretend to be busy, not daring to look at him. An assistant entered through the glass door with a document in hand and said, "Young Master Jiang." Jiang Filai's gaze didn't shift. After briefly pointing out an experimenter's data beside him, he took the document from the assistant and casually flipped through it. "This is an invitation from the Gao family," the assistant reminded. Gao Jiachin was a carefully cultivated plant by the Gao family and the Jiang family. But after this incident, they had been busy managing the fallout, and finally sent this invitation to Jiang Fulai as an apology. Upon hearing this, Jiang Fulai turned his hand, calmly handing back the invitation to the assistant. The message was clear. His phone rang, and Jiang Fulai gestured for the assistant to leave. Then he checked the message from Jiang He, opening the image. It was a complex question with a few formulas listed on the side. The handwriting looked neat and clean, slightly different from what he had seen the night before. However, he could guess who had written it, and being too lazy to type, he sent a 52-second voice explanation to Jiang He. Jiang He sent a comma. Jiang Fulai followed up with 47. Jiang He, Jiang Fulai, 60. Jiang He, you know the teacher's microphone was on, right? Out of patience, Jiang Fulai coldly typed 2 characters. Add group, Jiang He. Okay. On the other side of the phone, Ming Dingheng watched with an expressionless face as the well-known genius Jiang He got scolded by young master Jiang for 2 minutes, thinking to himself, luckily, he doesn't study physics. Bai Lian and Jai Shaojun arrived in Baikeng after 10 o'clock at night. The two stayed at a hotel not far from the Public Security Bureau. It was only after washing up for the night that Bai Lian discovered that Jiang He had added them to a 3-person group. Jiang Fulai sent a detailed process diagram, and Bai Lian sat at the small square table to study it carefully. She politely sent a thank you and then asked another question. Jiang Fulai, 37. Jiang Fulai, 29. Bai Lian opened each one to listen. Physics definitely requires understanding the theorems and repeatedly deriving all formulas. To learn physics, don't look up to it. You should stand on the mountaintop and look down upon it. Every seemingly unrelated phenomenon in nature, when slowly deduced, you'll find that they all share a common cause. After you understand all the theorems and formula derivations in that university physics book, explain them to someone else in your own words until they can understand. Try this tomorrow by explaining absolute zero to your grandfather until he understands. Once you grasp the principle behind each phenomenon, you'll find all the problems quite simple. The other person must have been quite busy today, still in the underground laboratory, with a clear, deep voice. Deliberately slowed down with a faint, slight echo. Bai Lian listened twice. So the next day, at 6 in the morning, Jai Heng had just gotten out of bed when he received a call from Bai Lian. Bai Lian. Grandpa, did you understand? Jai Heng wasn't fully awake yet, only hearing something about molecules and immobility. He got dressed, didn't understand, but responded with a calm, Then would you repeat it for me? Jai Heng. 15 minutes later. Finally, Bai Lian heard the correct answer from Jai Heng's mouth and hung up satisfied. The Feynman technique that young master Jiang taught her might end up making Jai Heng the biggest victim. The process of applying for a household registration transfer certificate wasn't complicated, and since they went early, it took less than half an hour to finish. With the train at 10-something, Jai Shaojun took the opportunity to visit a nearby mall. While Jai Shaojun shopped, Bai Lian queued in the adjacent milk tea shop to buy tea and wait for him. What Madame Song saw as she passed by was this scene. The tall girl dressed in simple white clothes and black pants, the white garment without embellishment, save for a few poppies at the neckline, which rendered it exquisitely simple. She held a fruit tea in one hand, leaning casually against a column at the entrance of the mall. Countless passers-by turned their heads. "You're back in Baikeng?" Madame Song got out of the car, the driver following behind her. Her eyebrows and eyes were warm, and her tone bore a bit of surprise. Bai Lian bit her straw and looked up. She thought for 10 seconds before she could recall who the woman was from the original owner's memory. It was her, Song Min's mother. "Auntie Song," Bai Lian spoke up. "Bai Lian, listen to me," said Madame Song with a serious demeanor after hearing her out, looking at Bai Lian. "I know you think your father is unfair and you don't like Shayaki and the others. I can understand all of this. But after all, you're a family. You can't be childish. To be honest, Shayaki is smarter than most of the young nobles I've seen in Jiangjing. Your father's favor is not without reason. Besides, you need to understand that in the future, the Bai family will definitely be centered around Shayaki. His prospects, I dare say, are absolutely clear. You should look to the long term. Staying with the Bai family for protection will give you the best development. Madame Song's maternal family was from Jiangjing, hence her extensive knowledge about it. She felt a subtle pity for Bai Lian and thus offered this piece of advice. Some things she left unsaid. For instance, she knew about the incident with the Bai T's written pledge and that Bai Lian and Bai Shaoqi were at odds because of her son. But she thought that now was not the right time for Bai Lian to hold a grudge against Bai Shaoqi. Instead, it was most important to maintain a good relationship with her. Bai Lian listened carefully. She finished her last sip of fruit tea, crushed the bottle. "I've never thought of relying on the Bai family." "What?" Madame Song was taken aback. The driver behind her glanced at Bai Lian. He naturally recognized the young miss of the Bai family, who often came to the Songs to find songmen. On hearing this, he sneered internally. Not rely on the Bai family. What else could you rely on? Your trivial youthful pride, or the confidence from being expelled by Baikeng High School?